Chapter 641. In this seventh courtyard, the south side was a double tower, the east and west sides were palaces more than 50 feet high, and the north side was the main hall of the entire palace complex. The size of this main hall was not very big, about the same as the palaces on both sides. The fog of the entire Zijin River Valley was sprayed out from this main hall. The fog here was far thicker than outside. The spiritual power contained in the fog had also reached the level of a high-grade 4th-rank spiritual vein. With Wang Daoyuan's vision, outside the branch hall, he could clearly see the situation 10 miles away, and his divine sense could also explore about 10 miles. But before this 7th courtyard, he could only see the situation within 100 feet, and his divine sense could not explore more than 100 feet. He could only see a few vague shadows of the main halls. The situation inside could not be seen clearly at all. Around the courtyard, there were more than 10 smaller palaces, pavilions and other buildings, all of which had obvious traces of destruction. Inside the courtyard, the buildings were very intact. Obviously, this courtyard should have never been breached. In this way, there must be a lot of good things in the courtyard. But there were advantages and disadvantages, and it was much more difficult to enter the courtyard. The array inheritance left by the 5-element spiritual master was only a high-grade 4th rank. He had also mentioned some of the legendary advanced array formations. But after all, he was a rogue cultivator, and the number of high-grade arrays he came into contact with would not be too many. Since the array of this main hall had not been destroyed, it must have been a 5th rank or even higher array back then. Even if it had not been repaired for a long time, there were flaws. With Wang Daoyuan's array attainments, he could not rely on the array to break it. If he wanted to enter, he had to rely on brute force. It was completely impossible to succeed by digging a hole from the ground. As long as it was a force of some scale, the defensive array would be guarded against underground. Wang Daoyuan drew out a wisp of gui water death flame, and the surrounding thick fog was instantly ignited. After the thick fog was burned, in addition to the water spiritual power assimilated by the gui water death flame, there was also some power of law. The power that suppressed divine sense exploration in the thick fog came from this power of law. Moreover, the strength of this power of law far exceeded Wang Daoyuan's understanding. He used a small divine ability to test the power of law, but it was instantly broken by the power of law in the clouds. His master, Lei Yanjinren, was a half-step Yuanian cultivator. In terms of laws, he was very close to a true Yuanian cultivator. However, as a half-step Yuanian's nomological power, he could only suppress the power of the lesser mystical powers. He could not directly break them. The power of laws here could absolutely reach rank 5 standard. He was confident that he could break through a high-grade tier 4 array formation. However, a 5th-grade array formation could deal with Yuanian cultivators. If a golden core cultivator went in, they would be casually played to death. However, on second thought, Beiyuan Xiaoxian no longer had a level 5 spirit vein, so the power of laws couldn't be natural. For this array to be able to last for tens of thousands of years, the source of spiritual energy must be the spirit vein. It was impossible for a rank 4 spirit vein to maintain a rank 5 spirit array for a long time. He could use a tier 4 array formation to release the power of law that only tier 5 array formations could. This reminded Wang Daoyuan of something in the past. When he was still a foundation establishment cultivator, he went to Wucheng Pass to defend against the Song Kingdom's invasion. The Dongsan fortress that he defended used a high-grade tier 2 gold demon soul severing array to modify the array core and control a low-grade tier 3 dharma artifact to release the offensive power of a tier 3 array formation. Although the grade of the array formation was different, the basic principle was the same. The array formation in front of him was built on a high-grade tier 4 spirit vein, but it could release the power of law that even a tier 5 array formation might not have. It was very likely that the array core had been modified and a tier 5 or even higher grade spiritual item was placed in the array core to hold the line. In this way, a high-grade tier 4 array formation could release the power of a tier 5 array formation. With a tier 5 spiritual item in front of him, it would be a waste if he did not try. Wang Daoyuan could try to go to the Qixing Si Xiaoxian community in the future. Even if he did not have a Tier 5 spiritual item, it would not have a big impact on his future path. However, his master did not have much lifespan left. Even if he could live for 1,000 years, he still had about 20 years left. The road to the Qixing Xiaoxian community was extremely dangerous, and the records of the myriad corpse Daoist master in the vast sea experience book were not detailed. It seemed that he had experienced a lot of hardships before he was lucky enough to come to Beiyuan Xiaoxian. Otherwise, Beiyuan Xiaoxian would not have no records of the Qixing Xiaoxian community. Once a golden core cultivator above 800 years old was injured, it would not be easy to recover. There were many aquatic demon beasts along the way, and injuries were inevitable. His master was about 980 years old, so it was impossible for him to go to the Qixing Xiaoxian community. During the process of his growth, his master had put in a lot of effort and had treated him and his younger brother well. Wang Daoyuan could not bear to watch his master pass away like this. Now that the opportunity was in front of him, he would not be satisfied if he did not try it. Moreover, if there were more 5th-grade spiritual objects here, he could also break through to the Yuanying realm in Beiyuan Xiaoxian. When going out to sea, the higher the cultivation, the higher the safety. The interference of the surrounding clouds and mist was too great, and there was no way to find the array's flaws. He activated the Gui water death flame, wanting to burn all the clouds and mist. However, the power of law was too strong and had an obvious suppressive effect on the Gui water death flame. The flame could only cover a radius of 10 feet around him. He summoned the dust-returning flame, wanting to see if it could burn the rocks on the ground. However, as soon as the dust-returning flame came out, it was extinguished. He had underestimated the array here. The Gui water death flame could burn these clouds and mist to replenish his spiritual power. It could burn on its own. He also summoned the vermilion bird fan and used his natal magic artifact to control the flame, which consumed very little divine sense power. With the support of the vermilion bird fire controlling technique, the flame could already cover a radius of 300 feet. Under the suppression of the power of law, the flame would be extinguished if it exceeded the range of 300 feet. However, this range was not enough to cover the entire 7th courtyard. He was not in a hurry. Since the Gui water death flame was not strong enough, then let it become stronger. Anyway, there was no danger outside this array, so he might as well cultivate here. The rank of the spiritual fire had always been slightly higher than Wang Daoyuan's cultivation. The 5 spiritual fires were on the verge of advancing to 4th grade high grade. The water spiritual power in the clouds and mist here was abundant and contained high-level laws. It was of great help to the advancement of the Gui water death flame, so he might as well let the Gui water death flame advance here. Moreover, the power of law here was also of great benefit to Wang Daoyuan's own law comprehension. To be able to be in close contact with the power of law above 5th grade, there were not many places with such good conditions in the entire Beiyuan Xiaoxian. He planned to improve his cultivation here. His cultivation was promoted to late-stage Jindan, and the Gui water death flame was also promoted to 4th grade high grade, so that he could solve more clouds and mist. The doppelganger devouring spirit explored the surroundings to see if there were any other spiritual objects. The doppelganger Zhengping was of no use. Wang Daoyuan gave him a jade talisman and let him go to the karst cave when he came, so that he could maintain contact with Zhou Luan. The clouds and mist here were too powerful. It could block messages. He wanted to send a message to Zhou Luan to report his safety, but he could not do it. However, the clouds and mist had no effect on the connection between the doppelganger and the main soul. Within a range of 300 feet, the Gui water death flame was constantly burning the clouds and mist, transforming them into its own spiritual fire essence. Wang Daoyuan was also constantly extracting the essence of the flames for his own cultivation. He could not only increase the rank of the Gui water death flame, so as to avoid the imbalance of the 5 elements. Using the 5 spirits immortal transformation technique, he transformed the extracted spiritual fire essence into spiritual power of other attributes. These spiritual powers, after being refined by the spiritual fire, could also increase the power of the spiritual fire. 3 years later, Wang Daoyuan sat cross-legged more than 10 miles south of the 7th courtyard. The spiritual power fluctuations on his body were constantly increasing. The black flames around him were also constantly surging into his body. After a month's time, Wang Daoyuan's body was emitting the light of 5 spiritual fires. Soon, the light disappeared, and his spiritual power fluctuations stabilized at late-stage Jindan. The 5-element spiritual fire had upgraded earlier than him. Now, it had become a 4th-grade high-grade spiritual fire. Wang Daoyuan tried it. Now, with the help of the Suzuka fan, the Gui water death flame could burn within a radius of 3,000 feet. 3,000 feet was a little more than 6 miles. It was enough to cover the entire 7th courtyard. Chapter 642. Sharpening the axe would not delay the work of chopping firewood. Wang Daoyuan also took the opportunity to improve the vessel pattern of his natal Dharma artifact. Moreover, it was hard to say what was inside after the formation was broken. When the artifact was upgraded to the upper grade of the 4th tier, it would more or less increase its strength. With the nourishment of the spirit fire, the spiritual power contained in the artifact, as well as the strength of the material, had already reached the upper grade of the 4th tier. However, the artifact pattern was still at the middle grade of the 4th tier and could not be considered an upper grade artifact. In the case where the artifact pattern was complete, it did not take much effort. In just half a month, he had upgraded all 5 artifacts to the upper grade of the 4th tier. The vermilion bird fan flew to the center of the defensive formation with a wisp of Gui water death flame. A vermilion bird phantom appeared out of thin air and led the black flames to burn outside the defensive formation. The defensive light shield's radius was only about 500 feet and was completely covered by the flames. The black flames formed a fire shield outside the defensive light shield. Soon, the clouds outside the defensive light shield were all burned. The clouds inside the defensive light shield were protected by the formation and the Gui water death flame could not penetrate it. The main hall was still spewing clouds outside, but the clouds were quickly burned to ashes. Wang Daoyuan took out an array measuring disc and looked for flaws in the formation. The array measuring disc was completely black and there was a faint black fog lingering outside. It did not look like a righteous artifact at first glance. However, its grade was not low. It was a middle grade of the 4th tier. He had obtained it from Zhong Zhenyang. Zhong Zhenyang had bribed him previously and there were several 4th tier artifacts in his universe ring. This array measuring disc was one of them and was called the Ghost Compass. It was unknown what material was used to refine it, but it contained dense yin qi. In addition to the detection formation, it also had some offensive and defensive functions. If he raised ghosts in it, it could increase the detection formation's ability and offensive and defensive capabilities. However, Wang Daoyuan did not need to raise ghosts to increase his strength. Even if this ghost compass did not have ghosts, its detection formation's ability was not weak. No matter how strong the defensive formation in front of him was in the past, it was at most an upper grade of the 4th tier. Using a lower grade of the 4th tier compass, he could find its flaws. The ghost compass was a mid-grade tier 4, so it wasn't difficult at all. Wang Daoyuan activated the ghost compass, causing it to spin rapidly. 9 streams of black qi flew out from the compass and circled around the defensive light barrier, searching everywhere. An hour later, the 9 streaks of black gas had scanned the entire defensive light barrier. Dark smoke surged out from the ghost compass, forming a 5-foot-long light shield above it, which was exactly the same as the defensive light shield of the 7th courtyard. Furthermore, there were streams of air flowing around the illusory figure. This should be the flow of spiritual energy on the defensive light barrier. From this, he could see the weakness of the defensive light barrier. If one's attainments in formations were not low, one could even deduce the location of the eye of the formation and its operating conditions. Then, he used the array dispelling method to stop the array formation from operating. The formation eye and the connecting formation runes would be intact, and the formation array could be activated again. Of course, this was only useful against formations that were not controlled by anyone. If someone was controlling the array, they would be able to change the flow of the array's spiritual energy and the operation of the array's eyes, making it much more difficult to find the flaws. The ghost compass was so brilliant that it definitely wasn't an inheritance of the Netherworld sect. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been unable to take down the Jade Spring Peak if they had taken out this thing back then. It was most likely that the disciples of the Netherworld sect had some fortuitous encounter when they were traveling outside. This ghost compass also looked very simple and unadorned. It should be quite a few years old. With Wang Daoyuan's ability as a lower-grade Tier 4 formation master, it wasn't difficult to find the weakness of the defensive light barrier. However, it was a bit difficult to deduce the location of the eye of the formation and its operating conditions. It was completely impossible to solve the formation. Solving a formation was harder than setting one up. With his current ability, he could only solve formations below the 4th tier. Moreover, this formation used to be at least a 5th tier formation, so the difficulty of solving it should also be at the level of a 5th tier formation. It took him 5 days to study the defensive light barrier's illusory figure. Wang Daoyuan had basically locked onto the trajectory of the defensive light barrier's weak points. With his strength, he could only hit the weak points and break the defensive light barrier easily. He took out the white tiger blade and used the sword shadow divine light technique. 10 sword shadows appeared. For the safety of his little life, Wang Daoyuan retreated more than 5 kilometers before controlling the white tiger blade to attack the formation's weak points with the 10 sword shadows. The current sword shadows had 30% of the white tiger blade's power. The white tiger blade and the sword shadows could display 4 times the power of Wang Daoyuan's full strength attack. Soon, 11 identical white tiger blades slashed at the same place on the defensive light barrier. With a crisp crack, the defensive light barrier with a diameter of 500 meters was shattered. The mist in the courtyard surged out again, but it was quickly burned away by the Gui water death flame. However, the mist was still surging out of the main hall. The formation that was surging out of the mist was not the same as the defensive formation. The spiritual power in the mist was only of the water attribute, while the defensive light barrier had no attribute. To be able to set up 2 sets of great formations in the same place. The level of the person who set up the formation was not something that Wang Daoyuan could compare to. This kind of pathfinding work was better left to the soul-chasing bees. He released more than 100 second-rank mid-grade soul-chasing bees and let them enter the courtyard to investigate. As a result, these soul-chasing bees did not dare to enter and just wandered outside the courtyard. The cannon fodder did not dare to enter, and Wang Daoyuan did not dare to enter even more. He controlled the vermilion bird phantom and poured into the courtyard with the Gui water death flame, burning the mist to nothing. As a result, these soul-chasing bees still did not dare to enter. Wang Daoyuan learned through the Bee King that these soul-chasing bees sensed an extremely powerful aura in the main hall. These soul-chasing bees instinctively felt afraid and did not dare to enter. The core inheritance of the Valley of Beasts was beast taming. It was not surprising that there were demon beasts with divine beast bloodlines inside. These soul-chasing bees were not intelligent enough and could not fully express their meaning. Wang Daoyuan could only let his doppelganger devouring spirit explore the way and open his panoramic perception. As soon as the devouring spirit walked into the courtyard, Wang Daoyuan felt a sense of fear. This fear came from the devouring spirit's instinct. The devouring spirit was a demon, not a creature of this world. What he was afraid of was the heavenly might and the divine beast. There was no lightning or anything like that in here. There was most likely a divine beast. He used the black tortoise bright armor and put an armor on the devouring spirit's body. He also took out the black tortoise shield and blocked in front of him. Then he controlled the devouring spirit to continue walking into the main hall. The devouring spirit pushed open the door of the hall. There were still clouds and mist in the hall. Even the gray water death flame could not completely burn it. It just became thinner. The suppression of divine sense was still very strong, but it could not block the line of sight. Through the clouds and mist, he saw a dragon-shaped object more than 100 feet long, coiled in the hall. However, this dragon-shaped object was motionless. This place had been abandoned for tens of thousands of years. Even a 6th-level demon beast could not live until now. This guy in front of him should not be a living thing. Wang Daoyuan was relieved. He controlled the devouring spirit and walked closer to take a closer look. He saw that this dragon-shaped object was completely dried up, without any vitality. The devouring spirit also did not feel the presence of a soul. It should be completely dead. This dried corpse basically maintained the appearance of a dragon. The dragon head was no different from a true dragon. It had 2 forked horns and a beard under its chin. From the back of its neck to its back, there was a fiery red mane, and its scales were earthy yellow. It had 4 claws, and each claw had 3 fingers. Just looking at this guy was a flood dragon with a relatively pure bloodline. However, seeing the lower half of its body, it was obviously different. The scales on the lower half of this guy's body were all upside down. Dragons with pure bloodlines would have an inverted scale on their throats, but the rest of their scales were normal. Legend had it that there was only one dragon species with inverted scales on its upper half, and that was the sea serpent. This guy was still spitting out clouds and mist. The clouds and mist outside should have come from here. The spiritual energy in this cloud and mist was extremely rich, very close to low-grade rank 5. On the sea serpent's dried corpse, there were also fluctuations of spiritual energy and the power of laws. When this sea serpent was alive, it was at least a rank 5 spirit beast. Chapter 643. The sea serpent had the attributes of earth, fire, and water. However, its divine ability was to swallow clouds and spit out mist, so it should be mainly of the water attribute. Legend had it that the clouds spat out by the sea serpent could transform into all sorts of scenes. Fata Morgana originated from this. If someone controlled the array formation, the clouds could completely form an illusion array. Wang Daoyuan seemed to understand why the demon beasts that attacked the branch back then did not succeed. With the sea serpent's corpse, an illusion array was set up and controlled by cultivators. Those demon beasts with weak spirit senses were unable to resist at all. Logically speaking, someone should have controlled this place back then. However, there were no human corpses in this hall. He did not know if the human cultivator controlling the array formation had escaped later or if there was another reason. The sea serpent's corpse was also extremely valuable. Even though it had already decayed after tens of thousands of years, it was not suitable for refining artifacts. However, since it could make the soul-chasing bees and devouring spirits feel fear, its dragon might should still be there. If it was buried near the spirit vein in the spirit pearl space, it might be able to obtain more dragon aura. The array formation that spat out smoke used the sea serpent's corpse as the core. It guided the spiritual energy in the spirit vein into the sea serpent's body and transformed it into clouds that filled the sky. If he acted rashly, he might trigger other array formations and restrictions. He did not want to be trapped here for decades like his clone Zheng Ping. It was better to search for other things first. When he was about to leave, it was better to touch the dragon corpse. As the core building of the entire Valley of Beasts branch, this hall could not be so simple. There must be something like a treasure vault. His clone, devouring spirits, used a small divine ability and condensed a black skeleton that probed the surroundings. His small divine ability contained spatial laws and was perfect for finding secret doors and secret passages. Soon, the black skeleton discovered that there seemed to be a secret door underground on the east side of the hall. After searching the vicinity, it found a mechanism to control the secret door. However, to open the secret door, it required the token of a disciple of the Valley of Beasts. The Valley of Beasts had been destroyed for tens of thousands of years. Even if 1 or 2 tokens could be found, it would have been useless. Since he could not use force, he could only use force. In any case, tens of thousands of years had passed and the power of array formations and restrictions had greatly decreased. It did not matter if he used force. His main body was further away. Even if he triggered some incredible restriction, he wouldn't put himself in danger. If he gave up now, then all his hard work over the past few years would have been for nothing. Riches and honor were found in the midst of danger. If he gambled with the life of his clone, it wouldn't be a big deal even if he failed. He drew out a wisp of returning dust flame. Now that the clouds had been suppressed by the Gui water death flame, the returning dust flame would not directly extinguish. The vermilion bird fan condensed another vermilion bird phantom and flew into the hall with the dust-returning flame. The defensive formation had already been broken. No matter how powerful the door was, it would not be able to withstand the returning dust flame. The moment the earthy yellow flame touched the ground above the hidden door, it began to burn. There was a stone slab above the secret door. The stone slab seemed to have been refined into a magic weapon. With the protection of the tool pattern, the burning speed of the dust-returning flame was very slow. It took 3 whole days to burn the slate to ashes. The hidden door beneath the stone slab was even more impressive. Even now, it was still an upper-grade Tier 4 magic artifact. The materials used were also very special. The dust-returning flame took half a month to burn open the secret door. Below it was a huge hole with a diameter of more than 10 feet. The devouring spirit condensed a black skull and flew into the cave. In just half a breath, the skull was annihilated by a force. The devouring spirit also did not sense what was below. Wang Daoyuan controlled the returning dust flame and the Gui water death flame and directly poured them into the cave. Who cares what tricks it has, it can withstand the burning of the flames first. Soon, a gust of cold wind blew out of the cave and the flames rolled out. This cold wind seemed to carry corpse chi and death chi. This was something that only refined corpses had. There was most likely a refined corpse below. The thing below did not make him wait long. Soon, a dark golden-skinned person came out of the cave. This guy did not have any vitality on his body and did not carry a trace of law fluctuations. His face was haggard and his eyes were already dry. It was impossible for him to be a living person. The yin qi on this person was extremely dense and also emitted very thin corpse qi and death qi. Could it be another refined corpse? Wang Daoyuan did not know much about refined corpses. He had never heard of a dark golden-skinned refined corpse. In the records of the 10,000 Corpse Spiritual Master, there were many refined corpses mentioned, but there was no mention of dark golden-skinned corpses. Without waiting for Wang Daoyuan to do anything, the guy who came out of the cave asked in a hoarse voice, "Which thief dares to trespass into my Valley of Beasts branch?" Wang Daoyuan was stunned. This person considered himself a disciple of the Valley of Beasts. Could it be that he was the descendant of the remaining disciples of the Valley of Beasts? Wang Daoyuan controlled the devouring spirit clone and asked, "The Valley of Beasts has not appeared in the world for 50,000 years. Who are you and why are you here?" The person murmured, 50,000 years? I've been guarding this place for 50,000 years? Why hasn't the sect master come to rescue me? Then his voice became sinister. The Valley of Beasts branch hall master Long Yuntian is here. You dare to destroy the branch hall's array. You're courting death. Hearing this, Wang Daoyuan was a little scared. This was not the descendant of the remaining disciples of the Valley of Beasts, but the group of people from back then. Even if the hall master of the Valley of Beasts branch hall had not reached the soul formation stage, he was still one of the best in the Yuaning. People from 50,000 years ago would not be able to live until now. This person also did not have the aura of a spirit. He could really be a refined corpse. After a person died, their body would turn into a refined corpse. Their spirit would leave the body and enter the cycle of reincarnation. The spirit and the body would become one, allowing the body to move. However, refined corpses usually did not have the memories of their lives. A few refined corpses with memories would have incomplete memories. Moreover, refined corpses had very low intelligence. 4th-grade refined corpses did not have the ability to communicate with people. They were even worse than 1st-grade demonic beasts. However, this guy's intelligence was comparable to an ordinary person. Long Yunshan's yin qi surged as he attacked the devouring spirit clone. This guy did not seem to know how to cast spells. He only had dense yin qi on his hands and relied on his speed and physical strength to attack. The devouring spirit clone's small divine ability involved the law of space. Naturally, it would not be hit by such a simple attack. He dodged the attack and used the devil race's secret hiding technique to hide his body. Wang Daoyuan also put on the black devil robe and used the hidden devil art to hide. Long Yunshan lost his target and shouted, "Coward, come out quickly." This time, Wang Daoyuan confirmed that he was indeed a refined corpse. Although his intelligence was quite high, his spiritual sense was too weak. The yin qi fluctuations on his body were comparable to a half-step Yuanian cultivator, but he could not find any traces of the devouring spirit. After Long Yunshan roared a few times, he locked onto the vermilion bird fan. Wang Daoyuan naturally would not watch his natal magic artifact be destroyed. He controlled the vermilion bird fan and flew south. He originally wanted to use the vermilion bird fan to lure Long Yunshan away and let the devouring spirit go down to the cave to search for treasures. He did not expect Long Yunshan to be so smart. He did not leave the hall. Wang Daoyuan was not unable to contend against a refined corpse that was comparable to a half-step Yuanian cultivator. After he broke through to the late golden core stage, his strength had reached the level of a first-rate golden core. Even if he faced a real half-step Yuanian cultivator, he could still hold his own. No matter how strong a refined corpse was, it was impossible for it to cultivate the power of law. Cultivators could be said to follow the heavens. Comprehending the law depended on being recognized by the great Tao. Refined corpses were born to defy the heavens. They were not recognized by the great Tao, so they naturally could not cultivate the power of law. A half-step Yuanian cultivator without the power of law was much easier to deal with. He could use the method he used to deal with the metal elite zombie back then. Wang Daoyuan summoned the Red-Winged Crow and instantly used his small divine ability. Long Yuntian looked at the Red-Winged Crow and said, "Your beast-taming technique is an inheritance of the Valley of Beasts. Are you also a disciple of the Valley of Beasts?" It seemed that this fellow could still be reasonable. Then he could have a good talk. Perhaps he could cheat a 5th-grade spirit item without fighting. Chapter 644. Wang Daoyuan didn't answer. Instead, he executed the Golden Rock Wrestling Dragon technique and condensed the Golden Rock image. Long Yuntian looked at the Golden Rock image and quickly said, "This is the inheritance of the previous sect master, God Monarch Golden Rock. Are you the successor of God Monarch Golden Rock?" Wang Daoyuan cupped his hands and said, "I only obtained some incomplete inheritance of the Valley of Beasts by chance. The Valley of Beasts hasn't appeared for tens of thousands of years. I don't dare to call myself a disciple of the Valley of Beasts." Long Yuntian nodded and questioned, "Then why are you here?" The Purple Gold River branch has never appeared in the outside world. The Purple Gold River Valley is surrounded by the Heaven/Mountain Range on 3 sides. The east side is the Mirage Fog Sea, which makes it difficult for outsiders to enter. There isn't any inheritance of God Monarch Golden Rock here. You are definitely not from the Purple Gold River Valley. How did you know about this place? How did you come in? Wang Daoyuan was a little surprised. This guy's reaction was quite fast. His intelligence was really high. However, he couldn't just tell lies. He had to tell half the truth to deceive people. He smiled and said, "I came from the sea near the mouth of the river. I found a cave residence of a predecessor there. He once entered the Mirage Fog Sea by mistake and came to the Purple Gold River. He finally escaped. I encountered a bottleneck in my cultivation and wanted to come here to try my luck." Long Yuntian chuckled and said, "I see." Before he finished his sentence, he disappeared instantly. A few footsteps could be heard. He actually ran out of the main hall and attacked Wang Daoyuan. Wang Daoyuan quickly executed the cloud mist escape and dodged the attack. He quickly asked, "Senior, why did you suddenly attack?" Long Yuntian sneered and said, "The Mirage Fog Sea is extremely dangerous. Even the disciples of the Valley of Beasts don't dare to say that they can walk out easily. You can come and go as you wish in the Mirage Fog Sea. You even dare to enter the Mirage Fog Sea? I might have turned into a refined corpse, but my intelligence is still there. How can I be deceived by a junior like you?" After he finished speaking, he waved his right hand. 5 streaks of black gas flew towards Wang Daoyuan like sword radiance. Although this black gas did not contain the power of laws, it was extremely fast, far surpassing ordinary sword beams. Even with Wang Daoyuan's escape technique, he could not easily avoid it. He had no choice but to control the illusory figure of the golden rock and release the feather blades to block the attack. Wang Daoyuan hadn't comprehended the golden rock's charm, so the power of the feather blades wasn't that great. It took a total of 500 feather blades to completely disperse the black gas. This fellow's strength was formidable. In a head-on clash, Wang Daoyuan was absolutely not his match. However, the limitations of refining corpses were too great. Their spiritual sense was too weak, and their methods were relatively simple. As long as they didn't fight him head-on, there was nothing he could do. He put on the black demon robe and used the demon concealment art to hide his body and put away the golden rock. He only left the scarlet-feathered crow and the vermilion bird fan outside and used the scarlet-feathered crow's scarlet golden flames to slowly exhaust him. Long Yuntian's attack missed and he wanted to continue attacking, but he suddenly realized that his opponent was gone. Only the scarlet-feathered crow and the vermilion bird fan were left. He waved his hands again and shot out 10 streaks of black chi towards the two. The scarlet-feathered crow flapped its wings and moved a little distance, easily dodging it. Needless to say, the vermilion bird fan's flying speed was comparable to that of a flying sword. It also dodged in an instant. Long Yuntian's spiritual sense was extremely weak and was not enough to control the attack. He could only shoot out streaks of black chi again. The scarlet-feathered crow spat out a few balls of golden flames. The vermilion bird phantom that previously controlled the dust-returning flame flew out and controlled the golden flames. The flames immediately grew stronger, and a few flames flew towards Long Yuntian like long snakes. Although Long Yuntian's spiritual sense was not good, his speed was still not bad. He hurriedly dodged the attack and spat out a few streaks of black chi, which turned into a black dragon and fought with the flame snake. As soon as the black dragon and the fire snake came into contact, it emitted a corrosive sound. Both sides lost a part of their strength. Where they came into contact, a black and white mist appeared. Wang Daoyuan used his spiritual sense to explore and found that there were strands of purple qi in the mist. This purple qi was condensed from pure yin and pure yang qi, the kind of purple qi that was contained in the yin-yang purple jade and the purple cloud wood. Pure yang qi was easy to say, there was plenty of it in the golden flames. But this refined corpse actually had pure yin qi, which made Wang Daoyuan extremely puzzled. The yin qi of refined corpses and imps was extremely heterogeneous, and corpse qi and death qi were far more than yin qi. How could there be pure yin qi? But this guy just so happened to have pure yin energy on his body. Long Yuntian fought back and forth with the scarlet-feathered crow and the vermilion bird fan. Wang Daoyuan was also not in a hurry. Long Yuntian did not have yin qi to replenish, nor did he have the ability to kill in one blow. He would undoubtedly die if he fought to the death. Wang Daoyuan concealed his figure and came to the main hall's entrance, blocking his retreat, making him have no choice but to fight to the death here. This refined corpse that was once a rank 5 or even rank 6, its physical strength was much stronger than the metal elite corpse. Wang Daoyuan had been diligently cultivating the Heart Sutra of Cloud and Rain all these years, and his progress in body refinement was not too great. His current physical strength was still far from the metal elite corpses. Naturally, he did not dare to fight it head-on. Therefore, Wang Daoyuan set up a high-rank 4 defensive formation at the main hall's entrance. This was given to him by Xian Jiuxiao during the Golden Core ceremony. He had not used it all these years, but he did not expect to use it here. In order to exhaust Long Yuntian, Wang Daoyuan even deliberately lowered the output of the vermilion bird fan's spiritual energy, giving Long Yuntian a slight advantage. Giving him the hope of victory, so that he would not want to escape back to the underground cave. No matter how intelligent a refined corpse was when it was alive, it would still be damaged after death. Wang Daoyuan was secretly playing tricks like this, but Long Yuntian did not notice any clues. Instead, he was fighting to his heart's content. He had been guarding this branch for a long time, and probably had not fought with anyone for a long time. Unknowingly, more than 12 hours had passed. After fighting at such a high intensity, the scarlet-feathered crow was somewhat unable to hold on. The power of Long Yuntian's black qi was not even half of before. Wang Daoyuan relied on the spiritual energy in the spiritual bead to replenish the vermilion bird fan's spiritual energy, and there was no problem. At this moment, Long Yuntian realized that the situation was not right. He broke away from the entanglement of the scarlet feathered crow and the vermilion bird fan, and rushed towards the main hall's entrance. The avatar devouring spirit instantly activated the array, and a gray defensive light shield appeared out of thin air. Long Yuntian's head slammed into it, and then was bounced away by the light shield. The defensive light shield also flickered for a while, and the high-grade spirit stones on the array disc also consumed a lot of spiritual energy. However, the defensive light shield still blocked Long Yuntian. He knew that he had been tricked. He used all his strength and punched a few times on the defensive light shield, but he did not break through the defensive light shield. Wang Daoyuan would not just stand by and watch. He recalled the vermilion bird fan, and the 5 life source magical artifacts combined into the 5 elements devil suppression seal. A suppressive force pressed towards Long Yuntian. At the same time, Kirin's shadow appeared, casting Kirin's evil suppression art, emitting bursts of yellow light. Under this suppressive force, Long Yuntian's physical strength was weakened by more than 20%, and the threat to the defensive light shield was not great. Waving his hand, he shot out several black chi, attacking the 5 elements devil suppression seal. Wang Daoyuan used the devil suppression seal to cast the sword shadow divine light technique, and 10 sword shadows appeared. The black chi was weakened by 20% by Kirin's evil suppression art, and Long Yuntian had consumed too much energy, so he was unable to break through the sword shadows. His retreat was cut off, and he could not win. Long Yuntian was abnormally sad and indignant. I didn't expect that I, a dignified peak cultivator of Yuaning, would fall to the point of being humiliated by a golden core junior. If I had not turned into a refined corpse, what could this mere suppressive force do to me? Sect Master, I am incompetent and can no longer perform my duties. Wang Daoyuan thought that he was going to self-destruct, so he hurriedly used an escape technique and fled 100 miles away. Unexpectedly, not only did Long Yuntian not self-destruct, but he also left the 7th courtyard and fled towards the southeast. Wang Daoyuan was a little dumbfounded. People's hearts were really not what they used to be. A refined corpse had learned to be so cunning. After guarding this place for tens of thousands of years, you should have struggled for a while. He had escaped, but Wang Daoyuan could not let him go. In the future, if the clan wanted to use this place as a retreat, leaving behind such a scourge, no matter how many people there were, it would not be enough for him to kill. This guy had consumed more than half of his black chi, but he still had the ability to break through a high-grade Tier 4 defensive formation. There was simply no way to defend against him. For the future of the clan, he had to be killed. Wang Daoyuan put away the magic artifact and the scarlet feathered crow, and chased towards the southeast, leaving the clone to continue searching for spiritual items. Chapter 645. Refined corpses could fly after reaching the 4th rank, but their flying speed was extremely slow, even slower than those clumsy 4th rank land demonic beasts. After all, this Long Yuntian was an old dumpling that had lived for tens of thousands of years. He still had some tricks up his sleeve. His body was wrapped in thick black gas, and his speed was much faster than ordinary 4th rank refined corpses. Even the metal elite corpse was far inferior to him. Wang Daoyuan didn't have the confidence to catch up with him if he didn't use the evasion technique. The mist in the Zijin River Valley didn't seem to come from the branch hall. The mist over there had already been cut off by him using the Gui water death flame, so the mist over here didn't become thinner. After all, Long Yuntian was once the local snake of the Zijin River Valley, so he was very familiar with the terrain. After a long time, he might really be able to escape. Wang Daoyuan used the cloud mist evasion and quickly chased after him. The mist here lingered, so he didn't need to condense the mist to use the cloud mist evasion. In a few dozen breaths, he caught up with Long Yuntian. Wang Daoyuan shouted, "Senior Long, don't run. With your speed, you can't escape. If Senior is willing to tell me where the other branches of the Valley of Beasts are and follow my orders, I can spare your life." Long Yuntian scolded angrily, When I was dominating a region, your ancestors were still wearing diapers. You little bastard, what qualifications do you have to make me work for you? This old guy had already become a refined corpse, but his mouth was still so sarcastic. When he was alive, he should have been a kindred spirit. It would be good if he could subdue him. Unfortunately, this kind of person wouldn't be willing to serve a golden core cultivator. He was once a Yuanian cultivator, and his essence, energy, and spirit combined to form the Yuaning. Wang Daoyuan didn't know what would happen after becoming a refined corpse. The doppelganger soul nurturing technique was risky even when used against Zifu realm cultivators. He didn't have the guts to use such an incomplete technique against a refined corpse formed from a Yuanian cultivator. Wang Daoyuan didn't waste any more words, and took out the meteorite fire controlling gourd and the vermilion bird fan. The gourd spewed out golden flames, and under the control of the vermilion bird fan, burned towards Long Yuntian. Compared to ordinary refined corpses, Long Yuntian's means were considered extremely numerous. Previously, when he was dealing with Metal Elite Zombie, that guy couldn't prevent the golden flames from landing on his body. All he could do was suppress the flames. But Long Yuntian was actually able to condense a black defensive barrier, blocking the corrosion of the flames. He did not stop to take the beating. Instead, he looked for opportunities to attack Wang Daoyuan. Energy attacks were of no threat to Wang Daoyuan, so he could only find an opportunity to get close to him. However, the cloud mist escape had a great advantage here. It saved him a lot of time to condense the clouds, and his reaction speed was extremely fast. The two of them fought for more than 2 hours. Long Yuntian could no longer maintain his defensive barrier, and the flames directly burned his body. He went straight down. Wang Daoyuan was afraid that he would hide in the clouds and escape, so he chased after him. Long Yuntian quickly landed on the ground, but he did not run away. Instead, he jumped up high and punched towards Wang Daoyuan. Now that he had exhausted too much of his yin qi, his physical strength had also weakened, but his jumping speed was still extremely fast. Wang Daoyuan immediately used the cloud mist escape, wanting to dodge the attack. But previously, he was diving down at an extremely fast speed. It was a bit difficult to escape now. He could only use the black tortoise shield to take the punch. After a muffled sound, Wang Daoyuan was sent flying. The black tortoise shield was made from the spirit spring pearl. It was invisible and formless, so it was not damaged. But it was not able to defend against all the power. Nearly 30% of the power still hit his body. His physical body was not weak, and his injuries were not too serious. He only spat out a mouthful of blood, and his internal organs were faintly aching. After flying for more than 200 feet, he stabilized his body. Long Yuntian wanted to take the opportunity to escape, but he had the golden flames on his body. Wang Daoyuan could sense his position. Where could he run to? He released the red-feathered crow and chased after Long Yuntian. It had exhausted a lot of its spiritual energy. It had been more than 2 hours in the space of the spirit pearl, and it had almost recovered. Once it left the space of the spirit pearl, it turned into a golden sun and chased after Long Yuntian. Wang Daoyuan used the Azure Dragon Pearl to heal his internal injuries and followed behind leisurely. Long Yuntian was already at the end of his life. After half a cup of tea's time, his entire body was wrapped in flames. He did not run anymore. When Wang Daoyuan arrived, he said calmly, "I have no way to live anymore. I just want to leave behind some last words." Wang Daoyuan was not in a hurry to make a move. He indicated for him to continue speaking, but he did not extinguish the flames. He still maintained a distance of more than 20 miles. Long Yuntian continued. When the demonic beasts invaded, the cultivators of the branch hall were all killed. I was also seriously injured. In order to survive, I could only refine myself into a living corpse. My soul has long scattered. Now, my consciousness is only the obsession to protect the branch hall. I protected the branch hall because I did not want the things of the Valley of Beasts to fall into the hands of the demonic beasts. Your bloodline is mixed, but your human bloodline has the absolute advantage. You are also a real human. You also learned the inheritance of the Valley of Beasts. You can barely be considered a disciple of the Valley of Beasts. Leaving this branch hall to you can be considered as completing my mission. I will not explode my corpse core to fight with you. As long as you agree to one of my requests, I can leave my corpse core to you. I was once a peak Yuanian cultivator. In my corpse core, there is still the power of a Yuanian cultivator. If I had not become a refined corpse and could not use the power in it, I would not have lost to you. You don't look old, but you have such a cultivation level. If you borrow my corpse core, you can definitely break through to the Yuanian realm. One of Wang Daoyuan's goals in coming here was to find a spiritual item that could help his master break through. Naturally, he was very tempted. He reduced his firepower and cupped his hands. I don't know what request Senior has. As long as Junior can do it, I will not refuse. Long Yuntian laughed bitterly. In the underground treasury of the main hall of the branch hall, there is my identity token and the whole story of the attack on the Zijin River branch hall. If the Valley of Beasts is still here, if you have the chance in the future, you can give these things to the elders or sect master of the Valley of Beasts. Tell them that I, Long Yuntian, have guarded the Zijin River branch hall for more than 50,000 years and have never lost. I, Long Yuntian, have not let down the sect master's trust. If the Valley of Beasts is already dead, then forget it. After I am burned by the golden flames of this mixed-blood golden crow, throw my ashes into the Zijin River. Hopefully they can follow the water back to the sect. Wang Daoyuan nodded. I will not be at ease if Senior does not die. I have to kill you. However, I will try my best to fulfill Senior's last wish. Long Yuntian's stiff face revealed a relaxed smile. You are also a hero among the younger generation. If it was not for the lack of spiritual energy in the cultivation world, it would not be a problem for you to cultivate to the soul formation stage. To be able to die in your hands is not a disgrace. After he finished speaking, he no longer used his yin qi to resist the golden flames. Soon, his entire body turned into ashes. Wang Daoyuan kept all the ashes. Among the ashes, there was a pearl with a diameter of 3 inches. This pearl was as black as ink jade. It contained a dense amount of yin qi. The golden flames could not burn it in a short time. There was also an extremely strong power of law. This should be the corpse core. However, the yin qi inside was so dense. It was hard to say whether it would be useful to his master. He took out his clone Tu Yuming from the space of the spiritual pearl and asked him to put the corpse core into a universe ring. Then, he put him and the universe ring into the space of the spiritual pearl. After all, he was once a cultivator at the peak of Yuaning. He had to be careful. After that, he flew towards the south. Soon, he arrived at the bank of the Zijin River. He scattered Long Yuntian's ashes into the river. According to Long Yuntian, the sect of the Valley of Beasts should be downstream of the Zijin River. If it was in the valley of the Zijin River, there was no need to set up another branch hall here. If it was not in the valley of the Zijin River, it could only be in the Mirage Fog Sea. It was said that there were many living Mirage dragons in the Mirage Fog Sea. The fog in the Mirage Fog Sea was spat out by those Mirage dragons. Including the fog in the valley of the Zijin River, a large part of it came from the Mirage Fog Sea. Wang Daoyuan naturally did not dare to explore it. After scattering the ashes, he went to the branch hall and prepared to explore the underground cave. Chapter 646. Before Wang Daoyuan returned, Devouring Spirit did not stay idle. He also explored the palaces on the east and west sides. There were a total of 6 skeletons in the palaces on both sides. He obtained 3 complete universe rings from the skeletons. Similar to the universe rings he obtained before, they contained some materials, artifacts, and other items that were once level 5 but had now fallen to level 4. If these items were placed near a level 5 spirit vein for a period of time, they might be able to recover their level. It would be a pity to use them now. It was better to leave them in the space of the spirit pearl. When he reached the Qixing Si Xiuxin community, he should be able to obtain level 5 spiritual materials and artifacts soon. Previously, he did not know the situation in the main hall's cave, so Wang Daoyuan did not let Devouring Spirit go down rashly. Now that he was back, he had someone to take care of. He could have the spirit devourer go and take a look. Devouring spirit condensed a black skull to investigate the situation in the cave. This time, he did not encounter any resistance. The skull explored the entire cave. If he did not encounter any danger, he could let his clone go down to take a look. Before ensuring absolute safety, Wang Daoyuan would definitely not take the risk. He had just risked his life to kill Long Yuntian. He did not want to fail miserably. His clone did not encounter any danger. There was indeed a treasure trove inside. It was divided into 4 small and 1 large, a total of 5 stone rooms. The 4 small stone rooms contained items related to pills, artifacts, and talismans. Among them, the pills and talismans had all been destroyed. However, there were still more than 10 pieces of yin-yang purple jade in the place where the pills were stored. This thing would not spoil and could still be used now. To the purple gold river branch back then, this was the most worthless thing. But to the Wang family, this thing was much more valuable than level 4 materials. There were not many artifacts in the stone room where the artifacts were stored. After all, they had been invaded by demonic beasts. The artifacts had long been used to deal with the demonic beasts. There were only 2 level 4 beast controlling rings left. These things could forcefully subdue level 4 demonic beasts. Perhaps because the grade was too low, they were not taken out. This thing was still very valuable to Wang Daoyuan. The Wang family wanted to develop the sky/mountain range, so it was inevitable that they would encounter level 4 demonic beasts that did not follow the rules. With this thing around, there was no need to worry about demonic beasts not obeying the rules. The rest were all refining materials, most of which Wang Daoyuan couldn't even name. There was nothing good in the stone room, only a pile of blank array discs and materials for refining array discs. The useful array discs should have been used up in the battle. There were 5 or 6 large bookshelves in the large stone room, but they were still protected by restrictions. The devouring spirit did not dare to act rashly, lest it destroy these inheritances. It was better to find the switch that controlled the restriction and turn it off first. Long Yuntian said that his records and identity medallion were in the treasury, but these 2 things were not in the 5 stone rooms. The devouring spirit used a small ability to probe the stone wall. Sure enough, he found a stone room in the innermost part of the treasury. Entering this stone room, there was no need for a token. The devouring spirit quickly opened the stone room, and a rich water spirit energy and pure yin energy gushed out. It looked like an immortal's cave, but it wasn't very big. It was only 100 feet square. In the middle of the immortal's cave, there was an upper-grade Tier 4 spirit spring. The spring water exuded a rich pure yin qi. No wonder Long Yuntian could turn him into a refined corpse and still be so strong. With the nourishment of the yin qi of this spirit spring, it was normal to cultivate such a refined corpse in tens of thousands of years. This spirit spring was not bad. It could be used to cultivate all kinds of spirit plants useful for the soul. Beside the spirit spring, there was an array core with a diameter of more than 3 feet. This array core was still operating. On the east wall of the Immortal's cave, there was a stone bed. Beside the bed, there was a table with a white jade token and a silver metal book on it. Wang Daoyuan was not unfamiliar with this kind of golden book. The inheritance of the golden rock fighting dragon technique was engraved on this kind of golden book. The words engraved on it were relatively simple and were somewhat different from the words used now. However, Wang Daoyuan often read ancient words, so he could still recognize them. The things recorded in the book were indeed resisting demon beasts and protecting the branch. The devouring spirit doppelganger put the token and golden book into the universe ring, then came to the array core. Wang Daoyuan used the devouring spirit's eyes to carefully observe the array core. Although this array core was brilliant, its principle was similar to a Tier 4 array core. It was not difficult to shut it down. He controlled the devouring spirit doppelganger to stop the array core from operating. The sea serpent in the hall outside no longer spat out clouds. The remaining arrays in the other palaces were also instantly shut down. The restrictions on the bookshelves in the treasure vault were also shut down at the same time. The array core in this Immortal's cave was the main array core of the entire Purple Gold River branch. After all the arrays were shut down, Wang Daoyuan entered the hall and put the sea serpent's corpse into the space of the spirit pearl. A Tier 5 sea serpent. Not to mention other things, the value of the sea serpent's pearl far exceeded that of a pseudo-dragon pearl of the same level. Then he entered the underground treasure vault and put all the treasures into the space of the spirit pearl. He carefully looked through the books. There were jade slips, beast skin books, and golden books. The jade slips were all useless, and the contents inside were all gone. The beast skin books were mostly intact, and the golden books were intact. The contents of these books were also varied. There were all 4 inheritances of elixir, artifact, and talisman arrays. They could reach Tier 5, but the contents were not very specific. It was not a problem to use them to get started. If he wanted to play tricks, he could only rely on himself. The highlight was still the way of beast taming. The other inheritances were all recorded in beast skin books. Only the beast taming inheritance was recorded in golden books. This beast taming inheritance was called the 10,000 Beasts Mystic Tome. It recorded the Tier 5 beast taming methods. It also included the refining methods of various beast taming magic artifacts. The refining method of the beast taming ring was among them. In addition to the beast taming inheritance, there was also a body tempering technique recorded in golden books. It was called the True Dragon Physical Conditioning Technique. This technique did not have any attribute requirements. Any spiritual root could be cultivated. However, the materials from the dragon species were needed to assist in the cultivation. The technique that Long Yuntian cultivated was the True Dragon Physical Conditioning Technique. The content recorded in golden books could be cultivated to the peak of Yuaning. The True Dragon Physical Conditioning Technique was divided into 3 parts. The first part was the part of cultivating spiritual power. After all, the body tempering technique also needed to be improved. The second part was the most important part of the body tempering. This body tempering could be divided into internal and external tempering. Internal tempering was very similar to the body tempering part of the 5 spirits Immortal technique. It mainly strengthened the 5 internal organs. The external tempering part used the 5 internal organs as the foundation to comprehensively strengthen the physical body. The 5 spirits Immortal technique focused on the internal but not the external. It could strengthen the physical body's potential. However, this potential could not be fully utilized. The actual effect was still a little lacking compared to other brilliant body tempering techniques. After all, it was created by the 5 elements spiritual master himself. It was not perfect enough. The True Dragon Physical Conditioning Technique cultivated both internal and external. When cultivated to the extreme, the physical body was comparable to a true dragon. Moreover, when facing an enemy, it could transform into a dragon form for a short period of time. This was not condensing a true dragon's shadow. It was actually transforming the body into a dragon form. After transforming into a dragon, the defensive power would increase greatly. It could also increase the power of the accompanying spells. Wang Daoyuan was most interested in strengthening the physical body. The true dragon was famous for being merciless. The effect of this technique strengthening the physical body was actually so powerful. Putting aside the combat strength, just based on this point, he had to cultivate it well. After mastering it, he should be able to eliminate the problem of waist pain. The third part of the True Dragon Physical Conditioning Technique recorded some accompanying spells. For example, Azure Dragon's Roar, True Dragon Sky-Breaking Claw, and so on. After transforming into a dragon form, the power would increase greatly. There was also an escape technique called the True Dragon Flight Technique. When used in the air, the speed was about the same as the Vermilion Bird Flight Technique. After entering the water, the speed was faster than in the air. Wang Daoyuan stored these important inheritances properly. In the future, if he wanted to break through to the peak of Yuanying, he would have to use this True Dragon Physical Conditioning Technique as a reference. He continued to flip through the other beast skin books. The contents were more messy. There were various travel notes of senior cultivators, strange stories, and so on. He also found a 10,000 spirit catalog, which recorded information about various birds, beasts, fish, and insects. Chapter 647. There was a lot of content recorded in this 10,000 spirit catalog. The entire animal skin book was more than a foot thick, but each page was not even as thick as a talisman paper. There were more than 10,000 pages in the entire book. The 10,000 spirit catalog deserved its name. Wang Daoyuan opened the 10,000 spirit catalog. The catalog divided all spirits into 5 categories: divine beasts, birds, beasts, water spirits, and spiritual worms. He flipped to the divine beasts section and carefully checked the content of the dragon race. There was quite a lot of content recorded on this page of animal skin. There were about 300,000 to 400,000 words, and there were also some pictures. It recorded the different types of true dragons of the dragon race, as well as the types of divine abilities of these true dragons, their strengths and weaknesses, and so on. What surprised Wang Daoyuan was that there was actually a record of breeding true dragons in this book. The Valley of Beasts in ancient times was really ferocious. In the end, there was also a record of the jade-scaled flood dragon and other half-divine beasts with rich dragon blood that had a high chance of turning into true dragons. Wang Daoyuan flipped through the other divine beasts. The content was similar to the dragon race. Only the Kirin race had fewer records. After all, among the divine beasts, Kirin was the one that appeared the least. He had always been puzzled about what species the Yun-Yi tiger was. However, after reading many biographies of predecessors, they only said that it was extraordinary, but they did not say what species it was. A tiger's roar could cause demon beasts and human cultivators with higher cultivation levels to be dazed for a short period of time. This kind of power was definitely not something that could be explained by ordinary Dharma spells. It might have already involved the level of laws. Especially after advancing to the 3rd stage, this fellow's eyes were like black jade, with a strong murderous aura and yin qi. When he was advancing, even Wang Daoyuan's soul, who was nearby, felt a burst of fear. With such power, it could not be an ordinary spirit beast. Other than the 2 cloud patterns on its shoulders that could turn into wings, the Yun-Yi tiger was more similar to the divine beast white tiger. Wang Daoyuan also carefully checked the situation of the divine beast white tiger. There were few branches of the divine beast white tiger, and most of them looked the same. The book recorded some variants of the white tiger. One of them was called the soul-devouring dark tiger. This guy looked very similar to Yun-Yi, except for a pair of small wings. Legend has it that the soul-devouring dark tiger was a divine white tiger that guarded the ghost gate all year round. It fed on evil ghosts and had mutated. They liked to live in places with dense yin qi and baleful qi. They could use yin qi and the energy derived from yin qi to cultivate, including corpse qi and death qi. The soul-devouring dark tiger's strongest ability was its roar. With a tiger's roar, the evil spirit would be so scared that it would tremble all over. It would have no strength to resist and could only wait for death. Opponents with lower cultivation levels would even be shaken to the point that their souls would scatter. This was very similar to the roar of Yun-Yi's fat tiger. It was most likely the bloodline of the soul-devouring dark tiger. The contents of the white tiger divine beast could not possibly record the situation of a rank 2 demonic beast. Wang Daoyuan flipped to the back of the book and found the information about Yun-Yi tiger. The contents of the book showed that the Yun-Yi tiger indeed had the bloodline of the soul-devouring dark tiger, but it was very thin. The Valley of Beasts had cultivated many Yun-Yi tigers in the past, but only a few of them had advanced to rank 3. It was even rarer to have a situation similar to that of Yun-Yi. They had also spent a lot of effort to cultivate the Yun-Yi tigers that showed the characteristics of the soul-devouring dark tiger. However, even after spending a lot of resources, these Yun-Yi tigers did not advance further. They were only cultivated to rank 3 superior grade and did not advance to rank 4. The Valley of Beasts did not lack divine beasts in the past, so there was no need to spend too many resources to cultivate the rank 3 Yun-Yi tigers. In the end, they could only leave it unsettled. These records mentioned that after the characteristics of the soul-devouring dark tiger appeared, it needed to be fed more things with dense yin qi. This guy could also eat some weak ghosts and extract corpse qi and death qi from things like refined corpses. Evil qi was also derived from yin qi and was also within the range of the yun-yi tiger. It was no wonder that after yun-yi reached rank 3, its growth speed was extremely slow. It turned out that it needed yin qi to grow rapidly. After reading these, Wang Daoyuan did not continue reading and directly put the whole book into the space of the Spirit Pearl. The rest of the books were also put into the space of the Spirit Pearl for safekeeping. Wang Daoyuan carefully observed the bookshelf. It seemed to be made of rank 4 spiritual wood. It was too wasteful to leave such good things here. He also put all the bookshelves into the space of the Spirit Pearl. After that, he was not in a hurry to leave. Instead, he cultivated here for a while. He had just obtained the true dragon physical conditioning technique, such a brilliant body tempering technique, so he naturally could not let it go. He could directly skip the part of the true dragon physical conditioning technique's spiritual power cultivation part. He had his own technique, so it was useless to cultivate this thing. The internal tempering part of the body tempering was very similar to the 5 spirits' immortal art. It was just that the circulation path of the spiritual power was somewhat different. When the true dragon physical conditioning technique nourished the internal organs, it required the assistance of dragon qi. Ordinary human cultivators could not detect the existence of dragon qi. Only after cultivating the true dragon physical conditioning technique to a certain extent could they detect dragon qi. When one first started cultivating, they could only rely on the materials on the dragon species, such as dragon blood, dragon scales, and pseudo-dragon pearls to obtain dragon qi. Wang Daoyuan really did not lack these things. The azure dragon pearl was refined from a pseudo-dragon pearl, so it more or less had some dragon qi in it. Moreover, his jade dragon spring most likely had dragon qi and could be cultivated on the jade spring peak. This technique was very suitable for the Wang family and could be used as the core inheritance of the family. Wang Daoyuan converted all the 5 elements spiritual fire into spiritual power according to the internal tempering method and guided the spiritual power to nourish the 5 internal organs. At the same time, he also extracted some life force from the azure dragon pearl and integrated it into his spiritual power. This way, he could always have some dragon qi. The effect of this body tempering was indeed much stronger than the 5 spirits' immortal art. After all, it was the inheritance of the Valley of Beasts and had been improved by countless cultivators. It was much more perfect than the 5 spirits' immortal art. After cultivating the internal tempering method for more than a month, his 5 internal organs were clearly strengthened. Then he began to use the external tempering method. The external tempering method was to draw out the essence of the 5 internal organs and use it to nourish various parts of the body. For example, the essence of the liver was used to nourish the tendons, the kidneys, the bones, and some other places. When cultivating the external tempering method, he also drew out some life force from the azure dragon pearl. Wang Daoyuan had cultivated the 5 spirits' immortal art for many years, so the strength of his 5 internal organs and the potential of his body was still very strong. Although he had suffered some losses over the years, it only affected the speed of his improvement and did not show any signs of regression. Cultivating the external tempering method released this potential, and the strength of his body improved very quickly. Half a year later, the strength of his physical body had greatly increased. Previously, he was considered weak among the late-stage golden core cultivators with only his physical strength. Now, he could exchange blows with a third-rate golden core cultivator with only his physical strength. It was just that he had not cultivated for long and could not transform his body into a dragon. However, he had learned some of the supplementary spells of the true dragon physical conditioning technique. These spells imitated the movements of a true dragon in battle. Coupled with his strong physical body, the power of these spells was still very strong. Even if he could not, his current strength was not considered weak among the first-rate golden core cultivators. Compared to Zhao Jinghua, there was still a gap. However, he should not be at a disadvantage against the long-legged prince and Song Yan. It had been nearly 4 years since he left the Jade Spring Peak and came to explore the Zijin River Valley. These years, he had been in contact with Zhou Wan through his clone Zheng Ping. There were no problems with the family. Zhao Jinghua was recuperating and was not in the mood to cause trouble. It was in the north of Shanbei that the 10,000 corpse spiritual master had sent his subordinates to refine corpses to test the West. The county king's manor and the Wang family's development focus was on the oasis, and there was no need for them to get involved in the north of Shanbei for the time being. After staying here for so long, now that his cultivation was successful, it was time to go back. However, he could not give up on the Zijin River branch. The value of this fourth-grade spirit vein was extremely high. In the future, the family would develop this place and use it as their foundation. Although the defensive array of the branch was broken, the array core was not damaged seriously. Only some of the array patterns were broken. Wang Daoyuan did not have the ability to inscribe these array patterns. However, it was still barely possible to repair the broken array patterns. After spending more than half a month, he repaired the defensive array of the 7th courtyard. As for the other arrays, he had the heart but not the strength. After calling Zheng Ping over from the karst cave, Wang Daoyuan was not in the mood to refine corpses. What's more, a third-grade high-grade refined corpse wasn't worth much. He might as well let him guard the Zijin River branch. It just so happened that there was a Yin spring in Long Yuntian's cave, which was more suitable for refining corpses. After arranging everything, Wang Daoyuan returned to the Jade Spring Peak. It was time to test the results of his body refinement. Chapter 648. Wang Daoyuan left the Purple Gold River branch with his clone and headed toward the karst cave in the southwest direction. The Mirage Dragon's corpse was taken away by him, and the remaining array formation could no longer produce clouds. However, the clouds nearby were only slightly thinner and did not disappear directly. The mist produced by a Mirage Dragon at least Class 5 only accounted for a very small portion. However, the value of this Mirage Dragon's corpse was not low. After storing it in the Spirit Pearl space, Tu Yuming took the Mirage Dragon's Dragon Pearl and Dragon Horn. The remaining dragon corpse's spirit power had been exhausted, and it was impossible to refine artifacts, so it was buried near the water attribute spirit vein. The dragon horn of a Mirage Dragon above Class 5, even if it had transformed into a superior grade Class 4 material, was still extremely strong. It would not be a problem to refine a natal magic artifact. If it was really sold, it would be easy to sell for more than 10 million spirit stones. The value of the Dragon Pearl was much higher than the Dragon Horn. The array formation that spewed out clouds was called the Mirage Mist Bewilderment Array. It was to guide the water spirit power in the spirit vein into the Mirage Dragon's body and send it into the Mirage Dragon Pearl together. The Mirage Dragon Pearl itself had the ability to produce fog. Under the nourishment of a huge amount of spirit power, it produced a large amount of clouds. Whether it was used to refine a natal magic artifact or set up an illusion array, the value of this item was extremely high. Moreover, this Mirage Dragon Pearl was transformed from a Class 5 spirit item. Although it no longer had Class 5 spirit power, it was not like Long Yuntian's corpse core that could directly help him break through to Yuaning. However, the laws contained in it were still powerful, and it would not be a problem to help him comprehend the laws. Just this point alone was not something that the Dragon Horn could compare to. After returning to the west of the sky/mountain range through the karst cave, Wang Daoyuan asked the spirit-devouring beast to monitor the situation north of the mountain while he returned to the Jade Spring Peak. He sent a voice transmission to the third brother to tell him that he was back and then returned to the underground cave abode. At this time, Zhou Luan was soaking in the hot spring. As soon as Wang Daoyuan walked into the cave abode, she asked with a smile, "Looking at your expression, you should have obtained a lot of benefits. Are there any spirit fruits, spirit wine, or the like?" The Purple Gold River branch has been destroyed for more than 50,000 years, and the bones of the Class 6 demonic beast have become scraps. What good things can be left? In the future, our Wang clan's inheritance will probably not be weaker than the Zhao clan's. Alright, can you find out anything about Long Yuntian from Bloodshadow's intelligence? Zhou Luan took a few pine nuts and said, "After you left, I had people investigate a lot of information about the Valley of Beasts. Long Yuntian is not a stranger. He was a famous master before the destruction of the Valley of Beasts. He seemed to be a cultivator with a heavenly spiritual root. He also had a spiritual body. He also cultivated the true dragon physical conditioning technique, which was one of the techniques passed down in the Valley of Beasts. He formed his gold core when he was over 180 years old, more than 10 years earlier than you. He formed his Yuanying when he was just over 300 years old. At that time, this person was also one of the top geniuses. He was almost predetermined to be the successor to the head of the Valley of Beasts. Later on, it was said that he was transferred back to the Valley of Beasts. Why are you suddenly asking this question? Is the Zijin River branch related to him? Wang Daoyuan nodded. Isn't that so? I even fought with him. Zhou Luan was stunned. She quickly asked, You're not injured, right? That's not right. How can he be alive until now? He's the last hall master of the Zijin River branch. In order to resist the demonic beasts, he turned himself into a refined corpse and survived until now. Fortunately, the spiritual energy now is not as good as before, and his cultivation level has also dropped. Refined corpses can't control the power of law, so I used the flames of the red-feathered crow to kill him. It's just that when this guy couldn't withstand the flames, he sneakily attacked me and punched me. Zhou Luan's face was filled with worry. Were you hurt? Are your injuries serious? Wang Daoyuan pretended to be seriously injured. My injuries are very serious. I'm just waiting for you to heal me. Do you want to heal me here or go back to the room? Zhou Luan glanced at him and threw a few pine nuts at him. Wang Daoyuan condensed a water dragon and brought Zhou Luan out of the hot spring. He carried her in his arms and walked into the room. Zhou Luan pinched his waist and found that something was wrong. She asked, Why is your skin so hard? Wang Daoyuan smiled naughtily. After cultivating the true dragon body tempering technique, my physical body is much stronger than before. You'll know in a while. The true dragon body tempering technique seemed to have a complementary effect with the Zhou clan's body tempering technique. Their cultivation speed had increased by quite a bit. After staying at the Jade Spring Peak for more than a month, Wang Daoyuan planned to go to the Treasured Cauldron Mountain to give the corpse core to his master. His master didn't have much lifespan left. He couldn't continue to waste it like this. He woke up Zhou Luan in his arms and asked, I'm going to the Treasured Cauldron Mountain to give the corpse core to my master and let him try to form his nascent soul. Are you coming with me? Zhou Luan shook her head and said helplessly, I left a soul lamp at the Blood Shadow headquarters. Those old guys at the headquarters can estimate my approximate location through the soul lamp. If I go to the Treasured Cauldron Mountain, I'll be discovered. You go. I'll guard the Jade Spring Peak. Wang Daoyuan left her a lot of spiritual fruits and spiritual wine before leaving the underground cave. Zhou Luan went back to sleep. This time, Wang Daoyuan didn't inform anyone. He put on the black magic robe and used the concealing devil art to fly southwest. He had a grudge against the Song Kingdom. To avoid trouble, he didn't go through the Song Kingdom. Instead, he went upstream along the Wanchuan River and went to the Zheng Kingdom. The western border of the Zhao Kingdom was the Dragon Spine Mountain. This mountain range connected to the Huiyan Mountain in the north and extended all the way to the Song Kingdom in the south. The mountain range to the west of Wucheng Pass was the remnant of the Dragon Spine Mountain. There were only two openings on the Dragon Spine Mountain. One was the Hanjiang Pass, and the other was the opening where the Wanchuan River flowed out. If he went upstream along the Wanchuan River and crossed the Dragon Spine Mountain, he would reach the Zheng Kingdom. There weren't any obstacles if he went south through the Zheng Kingdom. Half a month later, he arrived at the Treasured Cauldron Mountain. He put away the concealing devil art, took off the black magic robe, and showed his guest elder token. The cultivators guarding the mountain gate immediately let him in. Wang Daoyuan flew directly to his master's cave abode on a cloud. The Treasured Cauldron Mountain's flight restriction array wasn't fully activated. It didn't restrict golden core cultivators. At this moment, under the bloody fire Fusang tree, an old man with a slightly stooped figure was preaching to a young cultivator. Seeing Wang Daoyuan come, the old man smiled and said, Daoyuan, how come you have time to visit me? Wang Daoyuan landed under the tree and cupped his hands. Greetings, master. This old man was perfected Lei Yen. At this moment he looked like a white-haired old man from the countryside. His white hair was somewhat withered, and there wasn't much color on his face. His body wasn't as sturdy as it was a few decades ago, and he looked a lot thinner. Perfected Lei Yen checked his cultivation and nodded in satisfaction. You're indeed a genius. A late-stage golden core cultivator who's not even 240 years old. That's rare. If it wasn't for the fact that there's no more 5th-grade spirit chi in this world, you might be able to break through to the Yuanying realm before 300 years old. The young cultivator was Wang Mingting. He was an early-stage Violet Palace realm cultivator, not far from mid-stage Violet Palace realm. Wang Daoyuan sent Wang Mingting away and helped Perfected Lei Yen up, walking towards the cave abode. Perfected Lei Yen opened the cave abode's restriction and asked, "You're now the ruler of a country. You're busy, so you won't come here for no reason. Just tell me what you've encountered. My old bones can still suppress a few rascals." Wang Daoyuan took out Long Yuntian's corpse core. With my current strength, there really aren't many people who would dare to provoke me. This disciple found a branch of the Valley of Beasts and killed a refined corpse that was tens of thousands of years old to obtain this item. This corpse core contains a portion of the Yuanying cultivator's spirit chi and power of laws. It can help a cultivator break through to the Yuanying realm. I'm here to deliver it to you. Perfected Lei Yen waved his hand. You're truly blessed. This thing is something that can only be chanced upon in the entire cultivation world. I'm someone who's about to enter the grave. Using this thing is a waste. Your future is limitless, so you should use it. These past few years, the concentration of spirit chi in Beiyuan Xiuxian has been slowly rising. 1,000 years later, a 5th-grade spirit vein might appear. With this thing, it's not impossible for you to reach the late stage of the Yuanying realm. At that time, you might be able to cross the decimating heaven abyss and leave Beiyuan. There's no need to ruin your future for my old bones. Chapter 649. When their lifespan was nearing its end, they would still have the chance to break through to the next realm and live for another 1,000 years. To any cultivator, there was no greater temptation than this. But under such circumstances, Master still wanted to give the opportunity to his disciple. Wang Daoyuan sighed in his heart. To be able to meet such a master who wholeheartedly thought of his disciple, it could be considered his life's fortune. Don't worry, Master. I've already thought of a countermeasure. Once the clan had stabilized, the disciples would go out to sea and head to other cultivation worlds. Your disciple is only 200 years old now, so I still have plenty of time to go out and explore. After leaving Beiyuan Xiuxian, it won't be a problem to break through Yuanying. Daoist Thunderflame waved his hand and said, "Don't try to coax me. The cultivation world closest to Beiyuan is just south of decimating heaven abyss. Not even Yuanying cultivators have the confidence to pass through. How can a Jindan cultivator like you have the ability to do so? Listen to me, take this corpse core and break through to the Yuanying realm in the future. You have a lot of tricks up your sleeves. If you cultivate to the late stage of Yuanying, you might not necessarily be unable to cross absolute heaven abyss. It's really not worth it to waste such a treasure for a dying man like me." Wang Daoyuan sighed and took out the 10,000 corpse Daoist master's experience of the vast sea. "Take a look at this and you'll know if I'm lying to you." Daoist Lei Yen took the beast skin book and flipped through it for a long time. No wonder the 10,000 corpse Daoist master was so powerful back then. I didn't expect him to be a disciple of a large sect in another cultivation world. But where did you get this thing? Wang Daoyuan replied. After the Daoist master of 10,000 corpses was heavily injured, he hid in the Yellow Springs secret realm north of Mount Huiyan, near the Jewel Mirror Lake Oasis. 200 years ago, 2 Foundation establishment cultivators went to explore a secret realm and obtain the inheritance of the 10,000 corpse Daoist master. The 2 of them had an internal conflict, and one of them was seriously injured and fled to the Wang family's territory. I took care of him and obtained part of the 10,000 corpse Daoist master's inheritance. The other was dealt with when I was at the peak of Foundation establishment. Now, the inheritance of the 10,000 corpse Daoist master is in my hands. You're really lucky to be able to obtain the inheritance of more than one golden core cultivator. What's even more commendable is that after obtaining such a powerful inheritance, you can still resist the urge to walk the path of refining corpses. Right, the secret realm that the 10,000 corpse Daoist master is hiding in should be the secret realm where the corpse refiners are wreaking havoc, right? So you're saying that these refined corpses were left behind by the 10,000 corpse Daoist master? Wang Daoyuan nodded. Indeed, the 10,000 corpse Daoist master has turned into a ghost cultivator and is hiding in that secret realm. These refined corpses are running around under the control of Daoist master myriad corpses. Daoist thunderflames sucked in a breath of cold air. This fellow isn't easy to deal with. Why don't I help you destroy him? Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, no matter how strong he is, he's just a half-step yuaning. Once he leaves the Yellow Spring secret realm, he's still not my match. If they kept him alive, he would be able to relieve the boredom of the demons and half-demons in Shanbei. Otherwise, why would I intervene in the affairs of Shanbei? Master, do you believe that I have a way out now? You can use this corpse core, don't worry about me. Daoist Thunderflame chuckled. You have a lot of ideas. Since you're so confident, I won't interfere. Wang Daoyuan continued, in addition to the spiritual power of a yuaning cultivator, there's also a lot of yin qi in this corpse core. I don't know if it can help Master successfully transcend the tribulation. Daoist Thunderflame stroked his long beard. Not everyone can shatter their core and form their nascent soul as easily as you penta-spiritual roots cultivators. Yuanying is the fusion of essence, energy, and spirit. It's the birth of a new life, and the most important thing is balance. Penta-spiritual roots cultivators can easily achieve the balance of the 5 elements. Once their cultivation and comprehension of the laws reach a certain level, it's possible to form their nascent soul without the assistance of spiritual objects. Most cultivators don't have all 5 elements. When forming their nascent soul, they need the assistance of spiritual objects of other elements. In addition to the balance of the 5 elements, they also need to pay attention to the balance of yin and yang. It's fine for ordinary cultivators, but Master is a lightning attributed cultivator and also has a battle constitution. The lightning attributed attribute is the most masculine and yang, so it also needs the assistance of some yin qi. The yin qi in this corpse core can save a lot of effort. The yuanying spiritual power in the corpse core is of the water attribute, while Master is of the lightning attribute. I also have fire and wood attributes. The rest are earth attributed and metal attributed spiritual objects. The divine weapon pavilion doesn't lack such things, so it's easy to find them. Hearing this, Wang Daoyuan relaxed. I was worried that I couldn't use the yin qi, but I didn't expect to hit the jackpot. Disciple also has some earth essence. I don't know if I can use it as an earth-attributed spiritual object. Daoist Thunderflame nodded. The earth essence is an excellent earth-attributed spiritual object. I don't need much of it, just the size of a fingernail will do. With the corpse core, the other spiritual objects can only be used as a catalyst. As long as it's not lower than the 4th grade, it'll be fine. The yuanying heavenly tribulation is a 5-elemental tribulation. Whether or not the yuanying can stabilize will depend on how much of the heavenly tribulation's power can be absorbed to complete the 5 elements. Wait here for a moment, I'll go find junior brother Yunhe and ask for some metal-attributed spiritual objects suitable for forming their nascent soul. After finishing his words, he left the cave. When Wang Daoyuan refined the Kirin seal, he used 1/3 of the earth essence, leaving him with less than 4 inches. After that, he placed the earth essence on the earth-attributed spiritual vein in the spiritual pearl, allowing the spiritual vein to absorb a portion of the earth essence to grow. After the spiritual vein grew to the 4th grade, it no longer needed to absorb the earth essence. Instead, it could allow the earth essence to grow slowly. Currently, the earth element essence was 4 inches and 1 fin long. His soul entered the spiritual pearl and cut off a small portion of the earth essence, leaving only 4 inches long. A quarter of an hour later, Master returned to the cave abode with an angry look on his face. Wang Daoyuan asked, "What's wrong? Martial Uncle Yunhe isn't willing to give it to me?" Why don't I go to the southern wasteland and slaughter a few fourth-grade metal-attributed beasts? Their golden cores should be fine, right? Daoist Thunderflame took out a golden pearl. I've got it, but old man Xianyan insisted on going against me and making things difficult for me. I don't have much lifespan left, and I didn't make any preparations. Even if I form a Yuanying, I might fail the tribulation. There are some things I need to settle. With you around, even if I fail the tribulation, old man Xianyan won't dare to go overboard. However, I can't let my guard down. I've already ordered Daoyin to be transferred to the Clear Glass City. He's almost at the peak of the Violet Palace realm. With you taking care of him, I don't have to worry about him. Also, pass my Purple Thunder Divine Flame to him on my behalf. It can save him a lot of time for cultivation. Wang Daoyuan waved his hand. Master, the Purple Thunder Divine Flame has a great influence on your strength. With it, your chances of passing the tribulation will be higher. Daoyin's talent isn't bad either. Without the Purple Thunder Divine Flame, it won't take much effort for him to form his golden core. Daoist Thunderflame shook his head. I know that as well. However, if I fail the tribulation, the Purple Thunder Divine Flame will be destroyed as well. If our lineage wants to continue on, we need Daoyin to form his golden core as soon as possible. There isn't much time left for him. I have to ensure the continuation of our lineage. Wang Daoyuan sighed and said, I have True Monarch 100 Spirits secret technique for nurturing spiritual fire. As long as I separate a bit of the spiritual fire's essence, I'll be able to nurture a pseudo-spiritual fire. With the pseudo-spiritual fire and Daoyin's minor divine ability, I'll be able to condense the spiritual fire very quickly. The damage to the spiritual fire itself won't be too great. You'll be able to recover very quickly. After saying that, he took out True Monarch 100 Spirits' secret technique for condensing the pseudo-spiritual fire and gave it to Daoist Thunderflame. Not long after he looked at the secret technique, a purple flame appeared in his hand. Above the flame, there were flashes of lightning. The flame seed of this flame was the size of a longan. Afterward, he sent his divine sense into the flame and separated out a pea-sized flame seed. He then used the rootless flame of the Purple Thunder Divine Flame to envelop the flame seed. He then gave the pseudo-spiritual fire to Wang Daoyuan. I still need to prepare some magic tools for the tribulation. I'll leave this pseudo-spiritual fire to you. Wang Daoyuan took the pseudo-spiritual fire and gave the corpse core and a small piece of earth essence to Daoist Thunderflame. Then, he took out the meteorite fire controlling gourd and stored the pseudo-spiritual fire into it. He then converted the wood and fire spiritual energy into lightning spiritual energy and poured it into the gourd to nurture the pseudo-spiritual fire. Chapter 650. The meteorite fire controlling gourd was able to keep the rootless fire from extinguishing, let alone the pseudo-spiritual fire. Half a day later, the pseudo-spiritual fire was completely stabilized. Wang Daoyuan kept the gourd in the space of the spiritual pearl. He would pass it to his brother when he met him. After that, he cultivated in the crafting room of his master's cave. A month later, the damage caused by Master Lei Yen separating the pseudo-spiritual fire was almost recovered. The magic tools to resist the heavenly tribulation, healing pills, and other items were also prepared. At this time, Master Lei Yan's face was rosy. Although it was difficult to hide his decline, he was in good spirits. He came to the crafting room and smiled. Daoyuan, I'm ready to form my nascent soul at any time. Those old enemies already know that I'm trying to form my nascent soul, so they'll definitely cause trouble. Even if they don't dare to make a move directly, it's inevitable that they'll play some tricks in the dark. This time, I'll be relying on you to protect me. Wang Daoyuan replied, It's natural to protect you. Now that I have a 4th-rank upper-grade man-made mystic realm, why don't you form your nascent soul in my mystic realm? That way, you can avoid the interference of your enemies. Master Lei Yen shook his head. With the corpse core, the 4th-rank upper-grade spirit vein is barely enough, but the mystic realm is not stable enough. The power of the Yuanying heavenly tribulation is not comparable to that of the golden core heavenly tribulation. the entire mystic realm may be destroyed. Once the mystic realm is destroyed, I won't be able to escape. I know your filial piety, but I'm already so old. It doesn't matter if I fail. There's no need to risk a mystic realm. With that, he flew out of the treasured Cauldron Mountain and headed west. Wang Daoyuan also followed him on a cloud. When they arrived at the heavenly tribulation valley, Master Lei Yen landed on the stone altar in the middle of the valley. The golden core cultivators of the divine weapon pavilion already knew that he was trying to break through the yuanying heavenly tribulation. At this time, all the idle golden core cultivators of the divine weapon pavilion were waiting near the heavenly tribulation valley. This was a miracle that had never appeared in 10,000 years. If Master Lei Yen succeeded in forming his nascent soul, perhaps others would have a chance in the future. For nearly 200 years, the concentration of spirit qi in Beiyuan Xiuxian had been slowly rising. At most, in 1 or 2,000 years, or at least a few hundred years, Beiyuan Xiuxian might have another level 5 spirit vein. Now that he was here to take a look, he could also gain experience. Forming a nascent soul was not like forming a core, where one needed to absorb a large amount of spiritual energy from the outside world. Most of the spiritual energy came from the golden core, so he didn't need to absorb much spiritual energy from the outside world. In addition, with the corpse core providing spiritual power, he didn't need to meditate for a long time. Daoist Thunderflame took out the corpse core, the earth essence, and a golden pearl. After that, he used the purple thunder divine flame to burn the 3 of them. In less than 10 breaths of time, the earth element essence had turned into liquid. A large amount of liquid also flowed out of the corpse core and the golden bead. He swallowed the 3 balls of liquid into his abdomen and merged them with his golden core. His golden core only had lightning-attributed spiritual power, and it was originally a single entity. If he wanted to shatter his golden core, he would have to fuse spiritual items of other attributes into it. This was equivalent to having other impurities in the golden core. Its strength would be greatly reduced and it would be easier to shatter. 2 hours later, a purple gold sphere appeared above Daoist Thunderflame's head. It was his golden core. The golden core expanded rapidly, and its diameter soon reached about 3 feet. Not long after, the golden core shattered, turning into countless fragments. A purple sphere with a diameter of 1 foot rose from between his eyebrows. The fragments produced by the golden cores shattering slowly gathered towards the purple sphere. At this moment, a peak golden core cultivator walked forward and shouted, "Senior Martial Brother Thunderflame, Junior Martial Brother Xianyan is here to protect you." After saying that, he flew towards the heavenly tribulation valley. Daoist Thunderflame's golden core had already shattered, and his yuanying had yet to form. He was currently at his weakest state. If Daoist Xianyan were to intervene now, he would definitely fail to form his nascent soul. Just as he was about to fly 50 miles away from Daoist Thunderflame, Wang Daoyuan used the Black Tortoise Purgatory to contain him. Daoist Xuanyan's head crashed into the Black Tortoise Purgatory's water wall and bounced back. In his fury, he condensed a ball of black flames on his fist and punched the water wall. The water wall shook violently, but it didn't break. Wang Daoyuan asked, "Martial Uncle Cloud Crane, aren't you going to do something about this?" Daoist Cloud Crane was about to speak when a half-step yuanying cultivator wearing a black robe who looked like he didn't have much time left smiled and said, "Xianyan had good intentions, but he was a little impatient and caused the junior to misunderstand. Martial Nephew Cloud Crane shouldn't get involved in such a small matter." After saying that, he stood in front of Daoist Cloud Crane. The intensity of the Divine Weapon Pavilion's internal strife was beyond Wang Daoyuan's imagination. Someone actually dared to openly attack a cultivator who had just broken through, and even threaten the pavilion master. Since no one said anything fair, then let's do something ruthless. Although Daoist Xianyan was a peak golden core cultivator, he was only a second-rate golden core cultivator. If no one stopped him, he wouldn't be able to survive Wang Daoyuan's attack. Daoist Xianyan continuously attacked the Black Tortoise Purgatory, but he couldn't break it. He was very anxious. Wang Daoyuan added fuel to the fire and slowly shrank the Black Tortoise Purgatory. At this moment, a late-stage golden core cultivator rushed out and said, "Senior brother Xianyan, let me help you." Before he finished speaking, he was locked up by another black tortoise purgatory. This time, no one dared to step forward, except for the black-robed cultivator. "Junior, how dare you be disrespectful to your elders? Hurry up and release Xianyan and the others." Wang Daoyuan cursed in his heart, "This shameless old man, it's too obvious that he's biased." However, he still replied politely, "Senior, please wait a moment. Once my master finishes his tribulation, I'll release them." They didn't dare to wait any longer. If they made a move now, it would be time to settle the score after Daoist Lei Yen finished his tribulation. The black-robed cultivator said angrily, "Junior, you're being rude." After saying that, he waved his hand and shot out a ray of black light, wanting to break through the black tortoise purgatory. Wang Daoyuan took out the white tiger blade and summoned 10 sword shadows. The 10 sword shadows simultaneously slashed at the black light. Under the attack of the sword shadows, the black light quickly dissipated. Out of the 10 sword shadows, 5 were destroyed. Wang Daoyuan summoned another 5 sword shadows. The black-robed cultivator's expression turned serious. Although it was just a casual attack, it still contained 60 to 70% of his full strength. Yet it was blocked just like that. Wang Daoyuan also had some confidence in his heart. Although the strength of this half-step Yuaning was much stronger than him, he was not completely defenseless. Daoist Master Yunhe didn't want to cause a ruckus here, so he quickly persuaded, "Martial uncle, martial nephew Daoyuan isn't weak. He's more than enough to protect senior brother Lei Yen. Senior brother Xianyan, you don't have to interfere, right?" The black-robed cultivator didn't say anything else. If they really fought, his faction wouldn't be able to gain an advantage. After thinking for a moment, he said, "Xin, you two can leave. Martial nephew Lei Yen has Dao Yuan protecting him." Xianyan and Daoist Master Yunhe cupped their hands and acknowledged. Wang Daoyuan moved the black tortoise purgatory until it was 100 li away from Daoist Lei Yen. Daoist Master Yunhe was completely humiliated by a junior. He turned around and left. In the heavenly tribulation valley, Daoist Lei Yan's purple palace had already gathered all the golden core fragments together. At this moment, the purple palace had also shattered and fused with the golden core fragments. The purple palace phenomenon didn't shatter. Instead, it floated around his soul. His soul was exposed and began to absorb the golden core and purple palace fragments. The more he absorbed, the more solid his soul became. 15 minutes later, his soul absorbed all the golden core and purple palace fragments into his body. His soul became solid. The purple lightning divine flame appeared out of nowhere and approached his soul, gradually shrinking. Soon, it fused with the purple palace phenomenon and turned into a flame pattern that was engraved between his soul's eyebrows. When his soul fused with the golden core and purple palace, it could be called Yuaning. At this moment, Daoist Lei Yan's Yuaning was 3 inches tall and was entirely purple gold in color. When a Yuaning cultivator had just formed their Yuaning was 1 to 5 inches tall. A 3-inch Yuaning was already not bad. Wang Daoyuan looked at the flame pattern between his master's Yuaning's eyebrows and thought to himself, "I have 5 purple palaces. When I form my nascent soul in the future, will the Yuaning be able to fit in between my eyebrows?" The Azure Dragon, White Tiger, Vermilion Bird, and Kirin were all pretty good. However, the Black Tortoise mark was a little awkward. Chapter 651. Yuaning took form, emitting a purple-gold radiance. At this moment, Daoist Thunderflame's strength had already reached the early stage of Yuaning. Anyone who dared to have any devious thoughts at this time would be courting death. At this moment, a gray cloud appeared in the sky above Heavenly Tribulation Valley. The surrounding spiritual energy was clearly converging towards the gray cloud, which was constantly expanding. Soon, the gray cloud's diameter reached 5 kilometers. The speed at which it absorbed spiritual energy increased, but the gray cloud's surface area did not expand. Only its color continued to darken, from a leaden gray to a metallic color, and finally as black as ink. A powerful aura descended, but it did not cover a large area, only 50 kilometers around Daoist thunderflame. After a quarter of an hour, the tribulation cloud stopped absorbing spiritual energy. Daoist thunderflame's Yuanying had left his body, and his eyes were tightly shut. On the other hand, the 3-inch Yuanying had a solemn expression. He waved his small hand, and an octagonal purple-gold pagoda appeared. The pagoda was 1 foot tall and divided into 9 floors. Daoist Cloud Crane looked at the pagoda and smiled. Senior Brother Thunderflame's lineage's heirloom, the purple-gold pagoda, hasn't been used for 10,000 years. It should have fallen to the 4th grade by now. I wonder how much power it still has. The purple-gold pagoda was refined by the first ancestor of Daoist Thunderflame's lineage and had been around for over 60,000 years. It was said that it was a 7th grade magic tool at the beginning, but its grade gradually fell due to lack of sufficient spiritual energy to nourish it. However, its foundation as a 7th grade magic tool was still there, and its strength and function far surpassed that of an ordinary 4th grade magic tool. The 9 floors of the pagoda represented the 9 major attributes of spiritual energy, namely the 5 elements, 3 oddities, and the non-attribute. There was a small door on each floor's 8 faces. There was also a small space inside the pagoda that could seal demon beasts and demons. The pagoda was both offensive and defensive. Using the pagoda to attack an enemy, its powerful suppressive force was enough to immobilize cultivators of the same level. When defending, the pagoda floated beside one's body, emitting rays of light to protect one's body, just like the Yuanying. A green ball quickly descended from the tribulation cloud, about 1 foot in diameter. It looked ordinary, but even from 50 kilometers away, Wang Daoyuan felt a sense of impending doom. The others did the same, unconsciously retreating backwards. The green ball was about to land on Daoist Lei Yan's Yuanying when the violet gold jewel pagoda shone brightly, protecting the Yuanying. Silently, the green ball dispersed into a green mist that filled the sky. There was no shockwave, but the cliffs on both sides of Heaven's Tribulation Valley shook violently. Tiny cracks appeared on the cliffs. On the other hand, the stone altar Master was made of good materials and was not affected in the slightest. Wang Daoyuan's heart trembled. No wonder Master said that he could not undergo the Yuanying heavenly tribulation in the Green Willow Mystery Realm. The Green Willow Mystery Realm might not be able to withstand such a powerful force. Moreover, Master also had lesser divine abilities. After the 5 elements tribulation, there was still the divine ability tribulation. After all, mystical abilities could greatly increase one's strength. There was no such thing as a free lunch in this world. Naturally, there was a price to pay for the benefits. The minor Abhijna tribulation of the Golden Core realm and the Abhijna tribulation of the Yuanying realm were both a price to pay. The green mist slowly became thinner. After 100 breaths, there was not much of it left. At this moment, Wang Daoyuan saw that Master's Yuanying was unharmed. She was controlling the violet gold jewel pagoda to absorb the green mist. On the violet gold jewel pagoda, the 8 small doors on the floor representing the wood element were all open and were absorbing the green mist. The Yuanying was also absorbing the green mist into her body. After absorbing the green mist from the outside world, the Yuanying began to absorb the green mist from the violet gold jewel pagoda. After half an hour, she stopped. The Cloud Crane Town's elder stroked his beard and smiled. It seems that the spiritual energy in Beiyuan Xiuxian is still not enough. This Yuanying heavenly tribulation is much weaker than recorded. Senior Brother Lei Yan is unharmed by the violet gold jewel pagoda. This 5 elements tribulation is of no threat to Senior Brother Lei Yan. What do you think, Uncle Master? The black-robed half-step Yuanying cultivator at the side only snorted coldly and did not say anything. Not long after, a red ball with a diameter of 1 foot fell again. It was not much different from before, but the cracks on the cliffs on both sides were much larger. The 5 elements tribulation was not divided into strong and weak. Being able to withstand the first one without any damage meant that as long as one was well prepared, the rest was nothing to worry about. The Yuanying of Lei Yanjinren was still unharmed and was still slowly absorbing the red mist. Every 15 minutes, a bolt of tribulation would fall. Soon, the 5 elements tribulation had all fallen. The Yuanying of Lei Yanzhenren was unharmed, but the violet gold jewel pagoda had used up too much of its spiritual energy and had become dim. The 5 elements tribulation had passed, so there was no need for the violet gold jewel pagoda to withstand any more tribulations. He could only rely on his own strength to withstand the rest of the tribulation. The Yuanying put away the violet gold jewel pagoda, and the flame mark on her forehead shone brightly. A flame flew out and stopped in front of the Yuanying. The tribulation clouds in the sky churned violently, and a 3-inch tall purple flame fell from the clouds. The flame burned calmly. Although there were occasional flashes of lightning, it did not seem to be threatening. However, the expressions of the golden core cultivators changed. Although their cultivation was not high enough, they could still feel the power of the flame. Soon, the flame fell into the heavenly tribulation valley and turned into a sea of fire. The ravaged cliffs on both sides could no longer hold up, and huge rocks began to crumble one after another. The huge rocks fell into the sea of fire and turned into magma. At this moment, the Yuanying of Lei Yanzhenren was surrounded by a layer of purple lightning divine flames. After the time it took to brew a cup of tea, the layer of purple lightning divine flames protecting the nascent soul was broken. The flames started to burn the Yuanying, but Lei Yanzhenren did not give up and poured a large amount of spiritual energy into the purple lightning divine flames. He did not continue to defend, but let the purple lightning divine flames spread out and mixed with the heavenly tribulation purple flames to absorb the spiritual energy within. After a few dozen breaths, the 2 flames completely merged into one. The others could not tell the difference between the 2 and could only look at the purple flames that filled the valley. After 15 minutes, the intensity of the flames slowly weakened. After 15 minutes, the flames in the valley had almost completely disappeared, leaving only a foot-tall purple flame. Lei Yanzhenren's physical body was intact. The heavenly tribulation's target was the Yuanying and not the physical body. At this moment, the Yuanying's body was completely charred and lying on his head, unconscious. The tribulation clouds in the sky did not disperse, but slowly turned purple gold. Wang Daoyuan was overjoyed. The tribulation had succeeded. At this moment, the black-robed half-step Yuanying cultivator in front of Immortal Yunhe had a complicated expression. After 10 breaths, he clenched his fists, as if he had made a decision. Wang Daoyuan had long been prepared. They had interfered with his master's nascent soul formation, so he would definitely settle the score. Before the heavenly tribulation, he had hoped that his master would die from the lightning tribulation. Now that the lightning tribulation had passed and the gifts of heaven and earth had descended, his master would become a true Yuanying cultivator. When the time came, even if all of them joined forces, they would not be enough for his master to practice. His only chance was to get rid of Shizun while he was unconscious from his injuries. Just as he was about to move, Wang Daoyuan activated a minor divine ability and summoned 5 life-bound magic tools. The black-robed cultivator sensed the power of laws around him and immediately stopped. The younger generation will surpass us in time. You have such strength after forming your core for only 50 years. But this strength is still not enough to stop me. Wang Daoyuan revealed a mocking expression. Soon after, the life spirit fire and Gui water death flame appeared. His master had succeeded in transcending the tribulation. As long as he could protect him, no one would dare to do anything to him even if he exposed the life spirit fire. If he could not protect his master, it would be difficult for him to leave alive today. Immortal Yunhe hurriedly dissuaded him. Martial Uncle Mo Yang, don't make a mistake that will lead to everlasting sorrow. Senior brother Lei Yan has never killed the innocent and will not implicate your lineage. Immortal Mo Yang was also somewhat hesitant. Wang Daoyuan summoned a ball of tiny golden flames. This silver flame contained an extremely strong killing intent. At the same time, Wang Daoyuan also activated the white tiger sword intent, causing the expressions of all the Jindan cultivators present to change. Even the 2 half-step Yuanying cultivators, Immortal Mo Yang and Immortal Yunhe, had somewhat unnatural expressions. Immortal Mo Yang sighed. I'm really getting old. I can't even take down a 200 years old junior in such a short time. Forget it, I'll wait for martial nephew Lei Yan to deal with him. After saying this, he turned around and flew towards the treasured Cauldron Mountain. Chapter 652. Wang Daoyuan was truly afraid that those who had a grudge against his master would swarm him. No matter how capable he was, he wouldn't be able to hold them off. He reassured everyone, Master isn't someone who holds grudges. As a grand Yuanian cultivator, he wouldn't go so far as to suppress a golden core cultivator. If you act recklessly, you should know the consequences. With these words, no one dared to act rashly. They were all clear about Daoist Thunderflame's temper. He wasn't a petty person. If they didn't act now, only Daoist Xianxia and his helper would be unlucky. The others should be fine. If they didn't succeed, death would be a small matter, and their lineage would be cut off. Even Daoist Mo Yang, a half-step Yuanian cultivator, didn't have the confidence to take down Wang Daoyuan before Daoist Thunderflame woke up. The tribulation cloud in the sky had already turned purplish gold. The purplish gold clouds continued to converge. Soon, a purplish gold ball of light with a diameter of 1 qi descended. This ball of light fused with Daoist Thunderflame's Yuaning. The Yuaning's aura rapidly strengthened. After half a cup of tea's time, the Yuaning woke up. Its aura was also much stronger than before. Soon after, the Yuaning returned to Daoist Thunderflame's body. 100-mile-wide whirlpool of spiritual energy appeared in the heavenly tribulation valley. Previously, it was the Yuaning who had been absorbing spiritual energy. His body was still at the half-step Yuaning level. Now that the Yuaning had returned, his body needed to be strengthened to the level of a Yuaning cultivator. The purplish gold clouds in the sky started to drop purplish gold flower petals. At this time, the clouds were already very thin. The golden flower petals wouldn't last for long. The Yuaning heavenly tribulation would damage the spirit veins and vegetation. The purplish gold flower petals were to make up for the loss of spirit veins and vegetation. However, Daoist Thunderflame didn't care about this. He shouted, Daoyuan, I'll leave the remaining gifts of heaven and earth to you. Wang Daoyuan didn't decline. The gifts of heaven and earth from the Yuaning heavenly tribulation, even if there weren't many of them left, were still extremely valuable. He flew into the heavenly tribulation valley and sat cross-legged near his master. He started to circulate the 5-spirit transformation technique. Under the guidance of the technique, about half of the purple gold petals flew towards him. When the petals landed on his body, they turned into purplish gold energy and fused into his meridians. This energy flowed through his meridians and into his dantian. However, it was not ignited by the 5 elements spiritual fire. Instead, it was directly integrated into the golden core. The golden cores of late golden core cultivators were pure gold. After fusing with the energy, purple gold patterns appeared. His cultivation had just broken through not too long ago, so it would be difficult for him to make any further progress in a short period of time. Not long after, the golden core stopped absorbing the purple gold energy. Wang Daoyuan began to circulate the internal refining method of the true dragon body forging technique, using the energy to nourish his 5 viscera. After a quarter of an hour, the clouds in the sky had completely disappeared, and no more purple gold petals were falling. He continued to circulate his cultivation technique to strengthen his 5 internal organs. Half a day later, Daoist Lei Yan stopped absorbing spiritual energy and Wang Daoyuan also stopped. His physical strength had also improved tremendously. Now that he was only using his physical strength, he could be considered an expert among the third-rate golden cores. When he opened his eyes, he saw that his master had completely changed. Originally, he looked like he didn't have much time left. His face was pale and his hair was dry. But now, his hair and beard had turned black. Not a single wrinkle could be found on his face, and his eyes were bright and full of spirit. His previously stooped waist was now straight. His muscles were bulging and his blood was vigorous. He looked like a young man in his 30s. Where was the slightest bit of old age? Wang Daoyuan's face was full of joy. Master, you don't look much older than me. Daoist Lei Yan also smiled. I've looked like an old man for hundreds of years. I'm not used to suddenly becoming younger. After saying that, he got up and flew towards the east of the heavenly tribulation valley. The golden core cultivators who were watching the show quickly bowed and congratulated him for breaking through to Yuaning. Daoist Yunhe was no exception. Daoist Xianxia and the other late golden core cultivator were so scared that their legs went soft. Daoist Xianxia was more unyielding. He cupped his hands and said, "Senior brother Lei Yan, we've fought for hundreds of years. Now, the victor has finally been decided. Since it's already like this, there's no point in saying anything more. If you want to kill me, do as you please. However, I ask that you don't end my lineage." Daoist Lei Yan's face was full of disdain. Although I have a bad temper, I'm open and above board. Every grievance has its perpetrator and every debt has its debtor. I won't vent my anger on the younger generation. As for how to deal with you two, the Divine Weapon Pavilion has its own rules. After saying that, he rode a cloud and brought Wang Daoyuan back to the cave. The other golden core cultivators dispersed. After returning to Daoist Lei Yan's cave, Wang Daoyuan asked, "Master, the Divine Weapon Pavilion has been passed down for tens of thousands of years. We're all from the same sect. Even if there are conflicts, it shouldn't be to the point of killing each other. Why did Daoist Mo Yang and the others want to kill you?" Daoist Lei Yan sighed. It's all an old matter that has been tossed around for tens of thousands of years. This Divine Weapon Pavilion wasn't originally a sect. When it was first established, there were many different lineages. Our lineage was originally called the Treasured Tripod Sect. This Treasured Tripod Mountain is the sect's mountain gate. The many mines nearby are also our ancestral property. Later on, in order to suppress the southern wasteland, the ancient Almighty sent a disciple who was good at refining tools to unite many sects and establish the Divine Weapon Pavilion. The mountain gate was built on this treasured tripod mountain. That disciple who was good at refining tools was the founder of the Divine Weapon Pavilion. The formations and main inheritance of this treasured tripod mountain were all left behind by the founder. Daoist Yun, he was the successor of the founder's lineage. The founder of our lineage didn't dare to go against the will of the Almighty. He offered up many properties, including the ownership of the treasured tripod mountain, in exchange for a transcendent status. If the disciples of our lineage are in the wrong, as long as they don't betray the human race or the Divine Weapon Pavilion, the Pavilion Master can't easily touch them. Master will hit whoever he says. That's where his confidence comes from. However, our lineage has declined in recent years, and our status is not as good as before. Otherwise, Zhao Liang wouldn't have had to withdraw from the Divine Weapon Pavilion. As for Daoist Mo Yang, they are all from other sects that were united back then. Their status isn't high, and they don't have much right to speak. However, their standards for accepting disciples are low, and they've become more and more prosperous in recent years. Seeing that our lineage has declined, they want to destroy us and get some benefits. You've already made a promise, so Master really can't do it. How do you plan to deal with them? Wang Daoyuan said without hesitation, "I heard that the southern wasteland hasn't been peaceful these years. It's better to let golden core cultivators guard it." Daoist Lei Yan laughed. "You and Daoist Yin really don't look like blood brothers. Daoist Yin is so honest, unlike you who is full of evil tricks. This move of yours is a bit ruthless, but it's still very useful. Just exile them to the southern wasteland to atone for their crimes." "Oh right, the technique you practiced in the Heaven's Tribulation Valley had some dragon's aura. It's the inheritance of the Valley of Beasts, right?" Wang Daoyuan nodded. "In the Valley of Beasts branch where I found the corpse core, I obtained some inheritances, including the true dragon body tempering technique. Unfortunately, this technique is incomplete and can only be cultivated to the peak of Yuanying." Daoist Lei Yan praised, "You're really lucky. This true dragon body tempering technique is the direct inheritance of the Valley of Beasts. Although it's not the best, it's not too far off. In the future, the Wang family's inheritance will be ranked 7th in Beiyuan Xiuxian. It's second only to the 4 top powers, Blood Shadow and Zhou. It's even stronger than the imperial family of Qin and Zhao. Wang Daoyuan wasn't surprised that his master knew about the existence of Blood Shadow. Blood Shadow's business had always been high-end, so they had to deal with the top powers. At this moment, Daoist Yun he came to visit. Wang Daoyuan welcomed him into the cave. Daoist Yun he cupped his hands and said, "Senior Lei Yan, I'm here to ask, how do you plan to arrange the yuanying ceremony? And Xian Yan and the others, how should we deal with them?" Daoist Lei Yan told him Wang Daoyuan's intention. Daoist Yun he didn't have any objections. According to the sect's rules, they all have to die. Banishment is already the greatest mercy. Chapter 653. Perfected Lei Yan continued. The sect has its own rules for the yuanying ceremony. Just follow the rules. Perfected Yunhe cupped his hands in acknowledgement and left. Wang Daoyuan remained at his master's abode to seek guidance on cultivation. The only yuanying cultivator in Beiyuan Xiaoxian was a one-on-one tutor. 3 months later, the Golden Core ceremony was held at the Treasured Cauldron Mountain. Wang Daoyin had been transferred to the Qingli market and had now returned to the Treasured Cauldron Mountain. He Yuan Qing and the other in-name disciples weren't particularly talented. Within the Divine Weapon Pavilion, Zifu realm cultivators who did not have the potential to form their gold core were considered to be in the middle to low levels. Now that perfected Lei Yan had broken through to the yuanying realm, their status naturally rose and they were transferred back to the Treasured Cauldron Mountain. As the only yuanying cultivator in Beiyuan Xiaoxian, perfected Lei Yan's yuanying ceremony was bound to be unprecedentedly grand. Moreover, the yuanying ceremony's main seat was a yuanying cultivator's lecture. Naturally, the congratulatory guests were mainly Golden Core cultivators. As the only Golden Core cultivator in the Treasured Cauldron branch, perfected Lei Yan was the only Golden Core cultivator. The task of receiving the distinguished guests fell on Wang Daoyuan's head. Zhao Liang had also followed Wang Daoyin to the Treasured Cauldron Mountain. He had also brought the Wang family's gift. Thus, he and He Yuan Qin were in charge of the ceremony. The number of Golden Core cultivators who came to congratulate them was more than the previous auction in Zhou. All the cultivators with Golden Core cultivators in Beiyuan Xiaoxian had sent their representatives. Wang Daoyuan ran into many acquaintances. Cultivator Flying Sand from the Flying Sand sect had always obeyed the Divine Weapon Pavilion. In addition, he was close to Wang Daoyuan and was the first to come over to congratulate him. He was still an early-stage Golden Core cultivator, so he didn't dare to speak too much to Wang Daoyuan. After exchanging a few pleasantries, they entered the mountain under the guidance of the Divine Weapon Pavilion's Zifu disciples. Chu Cheng and Wu Xiao were among the Wu and Chu cultivators who had come to congratulate them. At the beginning of the year, he had teamed up with them in Mingsha Plains. After encountering the Flying Sand Bandits, Wang Daoyuan separated from everyone and no longer had any contact with them. Right now, they were only at the late Zifu stage, and so Wang Daoyuan didn't say anything to them. The cultivator surnamed Li, who had been treated in the Zhou nation previously, also came to congratulate him. He chatted with Wang Daoyuan for a long time. What surprised Wang Daoyuan the most was that Song Yan and the Sixth Prince had actually come in person as well. Wang Daoyuan didn't have anything to say to the two of them, so he just said a few words in accordance with the rules, then was led away by the Zifu disciple. However, Song Yan's gift was not light at all. There were several hundred kilograms of 4th-tier refining materials and 30 4th-tier upper-grade Xianyuan spirit-replenishing pills that were secretly passed down in the Kingdom of Song. In the past few years, the Song nation had not been having a good time. After fighting with the Zhao nation, the Qi nation, Chu nation, and Wu nation all launched probing attacks on the Song nation. The state of Song only had 12 golden elixir experts left. Apart from Song Yan, there were no other capable experts. Even if it was just a probing attack, the Song nation still had a hard time dealing with it. Now that they had just repelled the attacks of the three nations, the Song nation had also suffered great losses and urgently needed to recuperate. The reason they sent such a gift was most likely to curry favor with Daoist Lei Yan, so that the Divine Weapon Pavilion could lift the ban on doing business with the Song clan. The Zhao nation had sent their imperial minister, Zhao Jinghua. The Zhao nation had only recovered 70 to 80% of their industries, so they couldn't bring out anything good. They only sent some fourth-tier refining materials. The Qin nation sent their emperor's younger brother, Prince Jingyang. Wang Daoyuan didn't have much of a relationship with him, so they only exchanged a few pleasantries. Then came the Zhou nation's people. The Zhou emperor's younger brother, Prince Linjiang, brought the Zhou nation's crown prince, Zhou Jingyuan, to congratulate him. Zhou Jingyuan had already reached the early golden elixir realm. Forming his golden elixir at 200 years old was already considered first-rate. As soon as he saw Wang Daoyuan, Prince Linjiang cupped his hands and said, "Congratulations to Daoist Lei Yan for breaking through the Yuanying realm and becoming the #1 person in the world." Wang Daoyuan hurriedly returned the greeting. Prince Linjiang continued, "My niece, Zhou Jingyan, is the apple of my brother's eye. In terms of appearance, she is also one of the best in the world. Now that she has formed her golden elixir, I wonder if little friend is interested in marrying her?" Although the Zhou nation's status was extremely high, it was also very awkward. Before the various nations competed for hegemony, their strength was on the trend of surpassing the 4 top forces. The 4 top forces didn't want another force to appear that could suppress them, so they joined forces to suppress the Zhou nation. Now that the Zhou nation wanted to improve their strength, the best choice was to build a relationship with Daoist Lei Yan. Wang Daoyuan couldn't reject Prince Linjiang's request directly. After all, the status of the Zhou nation's princess was comparable to the direct descendants of the 4 top forces' sect masters. Wang Daoyuan could only send a voice transmission to the 2 of them. "Don't blame me, Prince Linjiang. I already have a Dao companion, who is also a distant branch of the Zhou nation. In terms of seniority, I should call you second brother-in-law. It's inconvenient to announce this matter, so I hope second brother-in-law and nephew Jingyuan won't spread it." Hearing this, Prince Linjiang's face lit up. It was good to be able to recognize relatives. After a few polite words, the 2 of them followed the Purple Mansion sect disciples into the mountain gate. Wang Daoyuan even patted Zhou Jingyuan's shoulder, acting like a loving elder seeing an outstanding junior. Zhou Jingyuan's face darkened, but he didn't dare to say anything. Next was the Wind Snow Deity Palace's Daoist Flying Snow. This person was also the direct disciple of the Wind Snow Deity Palace's sect master. This person should be the next sect master of the Wind Snow Deity Palace. There was nothing to say about her appearance. She was mainly in charge of the Wang family and the Wind Snow Deity Palace's face-retaining pill business. However, Wang Daoyuan didn't dare to appear when doing business, so the 12th uncle was in charge of these matters. In order to prevent being strangled to death by Zhou Luan, Wang Daoyuan only said a few polite words. Next were the people from the Archaic Mysteries sect. This time, it was still Daoist Heaven Diviner leading Xian Jiuxiao. Xian Jiuxiao's cultivation progress wasn't slow. His age was similar to Wang Daoyuan's, maybe even younger. Currently, he was already at the early Golden Core stage and not far from the middle Golden Core stage. Seeing the 2 of them arrive, Wang Daoyuan quickly cupped his hands and said, "Greetings, Senior Heaven Diviner, greetings Xian Daoyu." Daoist Heaven Diviner smiled and said, "When little friend was at the early Purple Mansion sect, I took a look at your fate. It had the appearance of Yuanying. In less than 100 years, you're already at the late Golden Core stage. Now, I don't dare to look at little friend's fate." Wang Daoyuan chatted with the 2 for a while. The cultivators from the Tai Sword sect arrived. They were Daoist Swordless and Kuei Jian. Their master, Daoist Black Thunder, was much older than Daoist Thunderflame and had already passed away more than 10 years ago. Daoist Swordless was at the late Golden Core stage, while Kuei Jian had already formed his core. After greeting Daoist Swordless and Daoist Swordless, Daoist Heaven Diviner entered the gates of the Divine Weapon Pavilion. Wang Daoyuan cupped his hands and said, "Greetings Senior Apprentice Brother Swordless and Kuei Jian." Daoist Swordless laughed, "No need to be so courteous, Junior Apprentice Brother. It's only been 30 years since Junior Apprentice Brother's Golden Core ceremony." I didn't expect junior apprentice brother's cultivation to have already caught up to mine. Kuei Jian, learn a bit more. Kuei Jian didn't care at all. Master's teachings can't compare to junior apprentice brother Daoyuan's, so let him owe me a favor. The golden core powers of Beiyuan Xiuxian had all arrived, and Wang Daoyuan didn't need to continue receiving guests. He brought Daoist Swordless and Kuei Jian into the gates, arriving at the Divine Weapon Pavilion's auditorium. Daoist Swordless handed over a gift box and a gift list to Zhao Liang and He Yuanqing at the door. He Yuanqing took the gift list and sang, Tai Sword Sect, Jade Sword Divine Lord, a copy of the Tai Sword diagram. Wang Daoyuan was a little surprised. Jade Sword Divine Lord was a sect master of the Tai Sword sect more than 40,000 years ago, and had cultivated to the peak of soul formation. At that time, he could be said to be one of the top experts. The copy of the Tai Sword diagram could be said to be a sword cultivator's most valuable treasure. Wang Daoyuan still had a copy of Daoist Swordless copy, but he didn't have the time to study it. The three of them walked into the auditorium, where more than 100 golden cores were sitting. Daoist Thunderflame sat on the main seat, and seeing that everyone was present, he smiled. With the help of Daoyuan's disciple, I was lucky enough to break through the Yuaning realm, becoming the first golden core in 10,000 years. Today, I'm indebted to all of you for coming to congratulate me, so let's talk about your experiences in breaking through the Yuaning realm. Everyone was here for this. Most of the cultivators who came to congratulate him had brought along their most promising juniors. Although they couldn't break through the Yuaning realm, they could listen to Yuaning cultivators preach about the Tao, which could increase their chances of breaking through the half-step Yuaning realm. Chapter 654. Most of the people present were golden core cultivators, and the content of the sermon was mainly about the laws. From how peak Zifu realm cultivators comprehended the laws, to how peak golden core cultivators imitated the laws and used them. Even if they were half-step nascent soul cultivators, they would still gain quite a bit from listening to the Tao. After Perfected Thunderflame finished his sermon, many guests asked him questions, and he answered them one by one. The entire preaching process lasted for more than half a month before everyone was satisfied. Participating in the Golden Core ceremony and Yuaning ceremony was actually to listen to the sermon, and giving gifts was equivalent to paying tuition. After all, they were neither relatives nor friends, so why should they listen to the sermon? Perfected Thunderflame stopped his sermon, and the guests all dispersed. However, there were still a few cultivators who did not leave. Among them were Perfected Swordless, Kuei Jian, and Song Yan. Perfected Thunderflame had brought them to his cave abode, and Song Yan was quite perceptive. Since Perfected Swordless and Kuei Jian had stayed behind, they must have something to discuss. A major matter between the top factions was not something a small country's emperor like him could participate in. After arriving at Perfected Thunderflame's cave abode, he spoke first, Senior Thunderflame and Daoyu Wang. Previously, I offended you in Zhou because I wanted to cause trouble for the three sects of Zhao, and had no intention of targeting you. Now, Daoyu Wang's strength is probably above mine, and I am of no threat to him. Now that Song is facing internal and external threats, it urgently needs some high-grade magic artifacts to protect itself. If Song collapses, Zhao will also face the threat of Qi, Chu, and Wu. Senior Thunderflame and Daoyu Wang, please forgive me and allow the Divine Weapon Pavilion to do business with the Song family. Song Yan was a hothead. 2 of his clansmen had been killed by Wang Daoyuan, and he probably hated Wang Daoyuan. However, a mature ruler would not put his personal interests above the interests of the country. No matter how unhappy he was, he had to force a smile. Although Song Yan was a little hot-headed, his intelligence was passable, and he was at least better than his father-in-law. Perfected Thunderflame asked, Daoyuan, what do you think? Wang Daoyuan replied, Master, I'm only a guest elder of the Divine Weapon Pavilion, and it's not appropriate for me to speak. Speak your mind. Wang Daoyuan said, Zhao State is weak. Having a weak neighbor like Song State is better than having 3 strong neighbors like Qi State, Chu State, and Wu State. He did this to give the Song nation a chance to catch its breath. The Zhao clan's strength would continue to decline for the next 200 years, and they would not be able to expand for the next 500 years. With the Song nation as a shield, the stability of the Zhao nation could be guaranteed. Of course, by allowing the Song nation to recover some of its strength, Emperor Zhao would be unable to take down the sixth prince. Maintaining the current situation in the Zhao country and not letting the Zhao family do anything was the best for the Wang family's development. Even though the Wang family now had Master as their backer, no one dared to openly deal with them. However, he couldn't ask his master to do everything. Even if no one did anything on the surface, it was hard to say what would happen in secret. It was necessary to balance the various powers. Spiritual Master Lei Yan nodded. Since that's the case, we'll follow Dao Yuan's wishes and allow the Song clan to do business with the Divine Weapon Pavilion. Hearing this, Song Yan's face lit up and he repeatedly expressed his thanks. Then he left the cave abode and the treasured Cauldron Mountain. Spiritual Master Swordless cupped his hands. Martial Uncle Lei Yan, I stayed behind for two matters. The first is to discuss the matter of the Southern Wasteland. Ever since the spiritual energy at the border of the Southern Wasteland suddenly dropped several decades ago and then suddenly recovered, those devil remnants in the ultimate heaven abyss have been restless. In recent years, there have been cases of devil remnants colluding with the Yin devil lineage devil cultivators. They control ferocious beasts and suppress the blood devil lineage devil cultivators in the demon-resisting mountain area. Their actions are becoming more and more rampant. The cultivators that my Tai Sword sect sent out to maintain the ultimate heaven abyss formation were repeatedly harassed by devil remnants and devil cultivators. Now that Martial Uncle has broken through to the Yuaning realm, you can maintain an absolute advantage over the devils. How do you plan to deal with those guys? Spiritual Master Lei Yan stroked his long beard. Rather than making a move now, why not lure the snake out of its hole? For this group of devil remnants to be so rampant, the strength hidden behind them is definitely not weak. As long as they don't interfere with our maintenance of the ultimate heaven abyss formation, we don't need to care about them. Secretly help the blood devil lineage devil cultivators and borrow their hands to suppress the Yin devil lineage devil cultivators. Lure out the old fellows hidden behind them and kill them all. If they have any ideas about the ultimate heaven abyss formation, then give them a ruthless one. The duty of the Divine Weapon Pavilion and Tai Sword sect was to suppress the Southern Wasteland and protect the human territory. This suppression of the Southern Wasteland was not just to kill a few devil remnants, it also had to maintain the ultimate heaven abyss formation. If something happened to this formation, the black qi in the ultimate heaven abyss would destroy the entire Beiyuan Xiuxian. Although the formation that restrained the black qi in the ultimate heaven abyss was left behind by an ancient powerhouse. But after several tens of thousands of years, some small problems would inevitably occur. The cultivators of the Divine Weapon Pavilion and Tai Sword sect would frequently patrol and resolve these small problems. Spiritual Master Swordless smiled. With Martial Uncle here, there is no need to be afraid of them causing any big trouble. Since that's the case, this matter is settled. The second matter of my visit is related to junior apprentice brother Dao Yuan. Rumor has it that junior apprentice brother Dao Yuan has many spirit fires. Among them, there is a metal attribute spirit fire. The aura it emits is rather similar to Tai Essence Gold. I wonder if this flame has anything to do with Tai Essence Gold? Wang Dao Yuan answered. This flame is called Tai Golden Flame. It was nurtured in a Tai Essence Gold mine. The difference between the Spirit Fire's spirit power and Tai Essence Gold's spirit power is extremely small. Spiritual Master Swordless' face was full of joy. This way, my Tai Sword sect will have a chance to repair the Tai Shun sword. Wang Daoyuan did not know what was going on. Spiritual Master Lei Yan asked, "Are you talking about the Tai Shun sword that was broken when suppressing the devil cultivators for 10,000 years? Spiritual Master Swordless nodded. That's right. The material used the most to forge the Tai Shun sword is the high-grade Tai Divine Gold. The Southern Wasteland is full of problems. Sect Master and the others want to repair this Tai Shun sword to guard against the devil remnants. But now, we can't find Tai Divine Gold at all. Only the low-grade Tai Essence Gold is not enough to repair that broken sword. However, with junior apprentice brother Dao Yuan's Tai Golden Flame, it will be of great help to repair the broken sword. Junior apprentice brother Dao Yuan, what's the grade of your Tai Golden Flame now? Tai Divine Gold was formed when Tai Essence Gold reached the 5th grade and underwent a qualitative change. It was much stronger than Tai Essence Gold in terms of murderous aura and strength. Wang Daoyuan answered, my Tai Golden Flame has just reached the 4th grade high grade. It's not a problem to calcine Tai Essence Gold. But to calcine Tai Divine Gold, it's still far from enough. Spiritual Master Swordless waved his hand. It's fine. There's no rush. With junior apprentice brother Dao Yuan's talent, it won't take him many years to reach the peak of the Gold Core realm. At that time, the Tai Golden Flame may grow to the 5th grade low grade and barely be able to calcine Tai Divine Gold. Wang Daoyuan owed Spiritual Master Swordless and his 2 disciples a lot of favors. Since they came to ask for help, it would be inappropriate to refuse. He cupped his hands and said, in that case, let's do as senior apprentice brother says. Spiritual Master Swordless received a satisfactory answer. After chatting for a while, he left with the Kuei sword. Spiritual Master Lei Yen took out 2 storage rings and handed them to Wang Daoyuan. These people who give gifts are too scheming. They give gifts that you need but I don't. They're really crafty. You contributed the most to my breakthrough to the Yuanying realm, so I'll leave these to you. Wang Daoyuan hurriedly waved his hand. Master, I'm not your only disciple. Even if you don't want the gifts, my fellow apprentices also have a share. It's not appropriate for me to take them. Spiritual Master Lei Yen smiled. You're still the most thoughtful. But your fellow apprentices, other than Dao Yin, don't have much talent. It's impossible for them to form their gold cores. Only Chang Sheng and Ming Ting have some hope. I've already prepared the items for Dao Yin to form his gold core. Chang Sheng and Ming Ting's talent isn't too shocking. They're still too early to form their gold cores. Giving them these things won't be of much use. Take whatever you like and leave the rest for them. Chapter 655. Wang Daoyuan did not decline. The cultivators who came to participate in the Yuanying ceremony had given him many good things. The Tai sword diagram that swordless spiritual master had given him was left behind by a cultivator at the peak of the soul formation realm. Although it was not as good as the original, it would not be a problem for him to comprehend the Tao of sword cultivation from it. He himself was a dabbler in the Tao of sword cultivation and did not have a complete sword cultivation inheritance. If he could get his hands on the Tai sword diagram, he might be able to perfect his sword cultivation inheritance. He took the 2 interspatial rings and carefully checked the things inside. Apart from Dharma artifacts, there were all kinds of gifts in these 2 interspatial rings. After all, giving Dharma artifacts to the Divine Weapon Pavilion was somewhat provocative. Wang Daoyuan focused on the gifts of books, which were good things that could strengthen the foundation of the family. There were not many gifts of books. He only found a 2-foot-long, 3-inch diameter painting scroll and a beast skin book. He took out the painting scroll and unfolded it. The painting was of the back of a man holding a long sword without any decorations. When his divine consciousness entered the painting, the scene he saw was completely different from what he saw with the naked eye. At this time, the Tai sword diagram was no longer a simple painting scroll. The scenery in the painting had become alive. However, he could still only see the back of the man in the painting. One strange creature after another pounced toward the man in the painting. Wang Daoyuan also recognized these strange things. They were all demons. The man in the painting just waved his sword gently. He did not even emit sword qi, and the demons were cut in half. Wang Daoyuan had seen this scene before. He had the Tai sword diagram that swordless spiritual master had copied. There was no difference in the moves, but the concept was completely different. In the swordless spiritual master's copy, the sword gave people the feeling that there was only him in the world and nothing else. It was like an immortal who had lived in outer space for a long time and had never entered the world. However, The painting in front of him gave people the feeling of elegance and freedom. It was after entering the world, seeing through the mortal world and no longer being bound by the worldly things. Of course, this was only Wang Daoyuan's first feeling. He did not understand it deeply. It was said that different people would have different feelings when they saw the Tai sword diagram. Even if the same person looked at it at different times, they would have different feelings. Many people had comprehended the Tao of sword cultivation from the Tai divine sword diagram, and these Tao of sword cultivation were all different. It wasn't something that could be obtained in a day or two. He put away the Tai sword diagram and took out the beast skin book. This beast skin book was very thin. It only had 5 pages and didn't even have a cover. There were no words on the surface of the beast skin book. However, Wang Daoyuan used his spiritual consciousness to probe it and immediately saw the familiar contents on the first page. This was the Golden Rock Wrestling Dragon technique. It contained the Golden Rock True Form diagram, as well as the content of condensing the Golden Rock's image. He read through it carefully. The contents were clearly of the same origin as the Golden Rock Wrestling Dragon technique in his possession. However, this one was more complicated and complete. The author called himself Golden Rock Emperor. It should be the inheritance he left behind when he was a soul formation cultivator. It was only natural for it to be more complicated and complete. On the second page was the feather blade that Wang Daoyuan was extremely familiar with. This feather blade was complete, and it had changed a lot. It also pursued lethality. The feather blades that he originally obtained were increased by increasing the number of feather blades. However, the feather blades recorded in this beast skin book pursued the lethality of a single feather blade. Only increasing the number of feather blades was very suitable for killing weak but large numbers of opponents. However, when 1,000 feather blades were launched at the same time, it was impossible to concentrate the power on one point in an instant. The lethality was scattered, and it might not be able to break through the defense of an expert. This feather blade was to reduce the number of feather blades as much as possible, gradually reducing it from 1,000. In this way, the same amount of spiritual power would be concentrated on a few feather blades, and the lethality of a single feather blade would increase exponentially. At the same time, the speed of the feather blades and their ability to break through defenses would also be stronger. The third page was created by imitating the Golden Rock's claws to catch prey. It was called the Dragon Capturing Claw. It could be used with the Golden Rock's Phantom, or it could also be used as a close combat spell. The fourth page was imitating the Golden Rock's attack with its wings. It was called the Wing Blade. It could emit an attack similar to a sword light, but its power was far superior. The fifth page was an escape technique called the Golden Rock Flight Technique, which imitated the flight of the Golden Rock. Rocks were known for their speed, so the speed of this escape technique was naturally not slow. Wang Daoyuan asked Perfected Lei Yen, "Master, which faction sent this Golden Rock Fighting Dragon technique?" This family is quite generous, to actually send a Dharma spell left behind by a soul formation cultivator. It was sent by the Zhou family. The Zhou family's inheritance is also somewhat related to the Valley of Beasts. Only they can take out such a complete inheritance of the Valley of Beasts. Moreover, this Dharma spell was given by Lord Riverside. This beast skin book doesn't even have a cover. It should be a last-minute idea that was specially given to you. When you received Lord Riverside and the Crown Prince of the Zhou family, Lord Riverside said that he wanted a marriage alliance. What did you say? How could the Zhou family be willing to give away such an inheritance? Moreover, I see that Zhou Jingyuan's expression hasn't been too good. Wang Daoyuan replied, "I only revealed a little about Zhou Luan, and I became Zhou Jingyuan's uncle. However, this second brother-in-law of mine is really generous. He's really willing to give away such a good Dharma spell." Perfected Lei Yen smiled. It seems that the Zhou family still wants to go one step further and be on equal footing with the 4 top factions. They want to get on my good side through you. By the way, you've been looking for a Dao companion for decades. When are you going to give me a grand disciple? When you're old, you always like to play with children. Ming Ting was quite fun when he was young, but he's too serious when he grows up. Wang Daoyuan also said helplessly, Zhou Luan and I are both golden core cultivators. It's difficult for us to have children. This matter can't be rushed. Perfected Lei Yen got up and walked into the depths of the cave. Wait here, I'll get you something. He continued to choose gifts and found 3 more golden cores of demon beasts. It just so happened that he wanted to refine golden cores, but he was afraid that there were too few for him to practice with. Now that he encountered such things, he naturally couldn't let them go. He took all of them. The rest were some refining materials, pills, talismans, formation plates and so on. Wang Daoyuan wasn't in a hurry to use them, so he left them for his other apprentice brothers. Not long later, Perfected Lei Yen walked out with a few books. Although I don't have a Dao companion, there are still many Dao companions among the ancestors. After tens of thousands of years, there are still some dual cultivation secret techniques. Take them. Wang Daoyuan took the books and read them. These dual cultivation secret techniques were indeed quite brilliant, but it was a pity that there were no illustrations. He took the books and returned the 2 yin and yang rings to Perfected Lei Yen. Master, among these gifts, I only need the Tai Divine Sword Diagram, Golden Peng Fighting Dragon Technique, and 3 golden cores of demon beasts. I'll leave the rest to my fellow apprentice brothers. I also have the 100 Spirit True Monarch's secret technique to refine spiritual fire. With this secret technique, refining pseudo-spiritual fire shouldn't be difficult. There are refined corpses in the north of Qingli County and demon beasts in the east. I can't leave for too long, so I'll take my leave now. With that, he took out a jade slip and the purple thunder divine flame pseudo-spiritual fire. Perfected Lei Yen took the items. You're now the ruler of a county and have a lot of work to do. I won't keep you. Now that I've broken through to the Yuanying realm, you don't have to be too cautious. If anyone dares to make things difficult for you, just send me a message and I'll take care of it for you. There's no need to hide Zhou Luan's matter either. There's no harm in exposing it. My disciple isn't worthy of a hall master of Blood Shadow. If those old fellows of Blood Shadow dare to say anything, I'll take you to their headquarters to propose marriage. A few half-step Yuanying cultivators won't be able to do anything in front of me. Wang Daoyuan repeatedly agreed, but he didn't want to expose Zhou Luan's identity now. Otherwise, Blood Shadow would be on guard and it wouldn't be easy for the Wang clan's disciples to infiltrate. After chatting for a bit more, he left Treasured Cauldron Mountain. This trip really wasn't in vain. After giving away a corpse core, his master had become a Yuanying cultivator. With such a powerful backer, even if he left Beiyuan Xiuxian, no one would dare to openly attack the Wang clan. He even obtained the Tai Divine Sword Diagram and other items. It could be considered a rewarding trip. You're tuning in to the Wang Lin's Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.